Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Our topic for today is: are any African countries actually named by Africans? Me and my colleague did a little searching, and we found out that many, if not most, of the African countries were not at all named by Africans. A good example of this is Egypt. Egypt is not an Egyptian name. That has Greek origin. And after we get through talking about that, we're gonna look at the question: does AI be lying? So you see, I've done several research projects with different AIs platforms, from Chat GPT to Grok and others, and answers to simple questions seem to come up with a falsity. But we're going to start with African countries. Wani, are African countries named by Africans?
Not really. We just have a handful of them that are named, and most of those names are, like after they were named by them, they try to get their name back. So it's very embarrassing for people to come up and tell us that we don't know our origins and we don't know our things, and the whole continent is not named by Africans. Most of the countries are not named by Africans, even the some of the mountains and bodies of water, and the countries were carved out by Europeans, and they have European languages as official languages, so they can keep talking about their mother tongue. Nobody wants to speak it because no one wants to talk to them. They're going to have to talk to people in the language of business. Nobody's clicking their tongues and doing all that stuff to take care of business. So they can do that in their hut. But when it comes down to it, everybody has to speak a popular language. Even people that speak Hebrew, people that speak Greek, these are very influential groups. And they have to speak some common language that most people have agreed to speak. Okay?
Preach.
So you can speak Hebrew all you want, but you're going to have to speak English. You can speak uh, a Scandinavian language. They speak multiple languages over there, but they're going to have to speak something like English or at least German. Most of them speak English. They have to. So, what's the point of speaking these languages? Not to mention, we have a mother tongue that we had to develop. We have all these Creole languages, we have Tutnese, we have various languages, but we don't have to speak those anymore. The reason we developed those was to be able to speak behind the Europeans' back, but we don't have to. We can say things to their face. And that's the number one reason that they think that they're doing something with that mother tongue. And believe me, those Europeans, they know how to speak those languages too. So they're not hiding anything. Those people over in South Africa speak their languages, so they can't speak behind the Europeans' back anyway. So that's the number one benefit of speaking in that language, is that they think they can speak behind someone's back, but the joke's on them. Those people have been over there a long time and they know exactly what they're saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I've said this before, and I'll say it ad nauseum. And I'm not bragging on this, I'm just telling you a fact. Africa, or the place that we call Africa, as we discussed before, Africa is not an African name. It the Africa comes is linked back to Scipio, or Scipio Africanus, who was a Roman emperor, a Roman general. So the rumor has it that it was named after. I may be pronouncing his first name wrong. I think it's Scipio or Scipio, something like that. Africanus. Africa had several names back in the day. Ethiopia was the name for Africa, and Ethiopia, which I think Ethiops is a Greek word. Wani, fact check me on that. I think it is, but I know whatever language Ethiopia means. It means burnt skin. So Ethiopia was used to refer to all of African people. But the earliest name I could track down for Africa was uh, Al Kabulan, uh, Al-Kebulan. That was the land before it was named African. The point of me bringing this up is not even the word African is of African origin. Now, these countries, um, the place we call Africa or Akabulan, whatever you want to call it, was made up of, at its strongest, it was made up of territorial kingdoms. These kingdoms would exist without hard jurisdictional lines. What am I talking about? I'm talking about European society likes to create nation states like America. This is international waters, and this is forbidden airspace. In other words, just these strict imaginary lines, like to say Mississippi and Alabama. It's the same land. There's an imaginary line in our head that says, "Oh, I'm in Mississippi now." That's a European silly concept. Well, Africans had territorial kingdoms, like the kingdom of Kush, the kingdom of Kemet, the kingdom of Punt, and at Africa, or what we refer to Africa's strongest point, these cultures were allowed to cross fertilize, culture cross fertilizing, creating new culture. Um, I'm bringing this up because when Europeans colonized what we call Africa, they broke Africa up into many nation states. And a lot of these cases, these nation states were named by white people. Wani, isn't Nigeria named after a white person?
Well, it was named by that woman. She wrote an article, I forget her name, but yeah, she white woman who was a journalist or prostitute named it. They think it was because they were calling something about the Niger River, which is also named by foreigners. And you can see when they did this a long time ago, they named these things in a poem. They related the word Niger to black a long time ago. And I don't know why they named that river that. Maybe it was because so called black people were there. Who knows? But that name was associated with something over there, and she just decided Nigeria. Niger, Nigeria. We'll just name it that. And these people are calling themselves Nigerians, just like the people in Hindustan. Indians were called Indians. Why? You just come out of the blue and say, you're Indian. And the name of their country is Hindustan, just like everything around them. Pakistan, Afghanistan, they were one of the stands. And then they just kept it that way for some reason. They didn't say, hey, we're not being colonized now. We want our name back. And the Africans have done just the same thing. They just accept the name. A lot of the things that we're named, like our group is older than a lot of these people in these tribes, and they don't even have their own names. So what happens is they'll say, our name is, um, the Utu tribe. And then the European will go over there and say, yeah, yeah, I don't feel like saying all that. Your name is the Boo Boo tribe. They'll come over here and they'll tell all of us, oh, I met the Boo Boo tribe over there, blah, 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 blah. And they'll tell all the Europeans, and then they'll write articles about the Boo Boo tribe. And then they'll get back to the Utu tribe, and then they'll just accept the new name. They don't even have the nerve to say, that's not our name, and stop calling us that name. So they don't have a lot of things that they should. And the things that they're talking about, they don't even have. Like a language. You're all speaking in French and in English to us because their mother tongue isn't doing anything for them. They can't talk to anybody but each other, which is not a good conversation. So they really don't have any authenticity to speak of.
Now, Nigerians, I think if I should generalize, well, let me put it this way so nobody gets me out of context. There have been many cases of people from Nigeria coming into this space expressing vitriol towards foundational Black Americans for A, not knowing our culture, hey, Nick, and B, not having a language. So that's happened ad nauseum from several different people who claim to be from Nigeria. Like our sister Wani just said, first and foremost, Nigeria was named by a white woman. Her name is Flora Shaw. Her picture is in the Jumbotron. And Flora Shaw did not speak Nigerian. She spoke English like most Nigerians. So it's important to note, Black people, foundational Black Americans, when Nigerians come in here and criticize you for not knowing your language, ask them what language do they speak in Nigeria? And they're going to say English. Because, like Wani just said, that's the main language of, you need to have an international, what is it called? A business language, what, Wani?
They have their official languages in the countries, and most of these people do have that official language, so they can say whatever they want to say about their mother
Right.
tongue. We've been speaking this language a long time, and we've influenced this language. This is the language we speak, and we've been speaking it longer than most of those tribes have even existed.
But they do all their trading in English.
Oh, yeah, a trade language. Now, I want to talk about something that's closely related to this, um, to show you the difference in foundational Black Americans and Africans. Uh, foundational Black Americans have a long tradition of protecting our women. Now, feminism has creeped into the mix and kind of confused everybody. But we haven't run to another country. We've stayed where we are and stood our ground. I want to help y'all look at some with me. Look at Chancellor Williams for me right quick. Chancellor Williams talks about Africa, Ethiopia's oldest daughter. That's the chapter. He says that the Africans, before they fled, before a lot of them ran to the United States, to Canada, to Europe, um, they tried to check this out. This is kind of new information. They attempted to make a deal with the Europeans, like the European invaders and the Arab. Dr. Chancellor Williams called the Arabs Asian, so don't vibe with me for a minute. When I say Asian, I mean white Arab. When they invaded Africa, ladies and gentlemen, before these people fled, do y'all know what they did? They cut a deal with the invaders. You want to know what the deal was? The deal was, if you spare my life, I'll let you have my daughter to do whatever you want with my daughter. I don't know of a case of foundational Black Americans doing that. Um, Dr. Chancellor Williams says, indeed, well, quote, indeed, so anxious were some of these early Blacks for integration with the Asians, stop right there, that means a white Arab, quote, that they themselves did most in creating new breeds of Egyptians who were here, who were to become their mortal enemies, for an all-in-one effort to appease the invaders, the whites and the white Arabs. Listen to what the Africans did. They, quote, they freely gave their daughters and other desirable females as gifts to become concubines, thus speeding up the reproduction project processes on an ever widening scale. Y'all heard that? People took over Africa, and they said, the men of the village said, please don't kill me. If you don't kill me, you can have my daughter, you can have my wife, and you can have my auntie now. And you can turn her into a slave. Just spare my life. I don't know of one case of that happening in America. Can somebody remind me of one?
That's just that backstabbing culture. I mean, we're speaking about cultural. We're not talking about one-offs or unicorn situations, right? So we can find somebody who's a cannibal here, but we don't sell arms and legs at the grocery store. But that's just their cultural way to sell people out. That's why you can find a line of them trying to sell their toddlers to tourists. You can find the same thing in Bangkok, where they have a whole, brothels that do a lot of things with children that you don't want to know about. So that's cultural. That the people have a tolerance for it. If the people didn't like it, they would burn it down. They would be like, "This is intolerable. You don't do that to children. What are you doing?"
Right.
But the people, although they look mild mannered and nice, culturally they have a tolerance for this. And a lot of times Africans will agree with the international community and raise up their ages of consent, but in practice, they're still selling little girls. They're still marrying little girls. They're still doing arranged marriages and trading people for livestock. They're still doing these things, but they're telling the international community that they're not because they want to continue to get money and they don't get the money. So they're doing all these things to get money, and only a handful of people get the money, and it never trickles down to them or educates them on what they have to do to be globally acceptable, because they're not globally acceptable. That's one of the issues. We can pretend if we want to, but the actions that they're doing are not generally universally acceptable. People are not going to tolerate abuse of children, and they do it all the time. They snatch children, put them in uh, mineral mines, put them on plantations, do anything they want to do to them, just like they've always done.
Right, right, right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad Wani said that that's not over, because last time I was in West Africa, and I've said this before. Some of y'all sick of hearing this, but last time I was in West Africa in 2023, would stay at one of the hotels that had cable and watch the news, and there was stories of little girls being sold by their dads. Like, this shit still goes on. There's a culture of selling your little girl. I can't even imagine somebody coming to get my daughter. Man, if somebody come to get my daughter, it's gonna be a whole bunch of fireworks going off, but that's a whole nother story. Go ahead, Mo. What's on your mind?
What's up, man? Good evening,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Yeah, no, I was gonna answer the questions. Are any African countries named by Africans? No, I think most countries are named by the indigenous people of that country, as we've seen. Even in Europe, where most of those nations are new, they're not even named by the people of that country. So I think usually when it comes to countries, other people name it, and people just agree upon it.
Well, that's not necessarily true. You're saying the indigenous people, as we just discussed, Mr. Mo. In Nigeria, it was named by Flora Shaw, who is also known as later Lady Lugard. That implies that she was of noble class of England, but that's beside the point. But Lady Lugard was not indigenous to what is known as Africa. She was an outsider. Some people would call her a colonizer.
No, I'm
So,
agreeing. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying most countries aren't named by the indigenous people.
oh, you said aren't named by
Yeah.
their okay.
Okay.
Uh, uh, well,
For example, like a place like Portugal. Portugal's like was named by the Celtics, or like some people
That
would say the
that's
Arabics.
going to be a little bit different because they had a lot of people coming and going through there.
I mean, most countries are like that. Like for example, even America. America was named after an Italian person. Most places
We
aren't
don't
named.
know that
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
that's not
No,
confirmed.
It's- yeah, because they said that the Italian people said they wouldn't name something after someone's first name, and then there's some evidence of that name
well,
being
I
over
mean,
here.
it's a coincidence. I mean, Amerigo Vespucci. Maybe coincidence. I don't know. But either way, most countries are just not named by indigenous the people that are from there.
Well, I'm not going to call the Amerigo Vespucci issue a coincidence. I'm going to call it psychological warfare, because there's a whole bunch of evidence to prove that the Amaru people were here. It's hard for me to say that word. There's a really good documentary you can watch by Tariq Nasheed called American Maroon. He talks about that in the beginning, that the Amaru people were here. And that's kind of where the word America came from, just to kind of give the European claims to the land. So I'm not sure if that's a I kind of feel like we're apple and oranges. What we're trying to get to with this space is, we're first and foremost, we're talking about African countries and their names. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because in for the last several years, and it's ramping up. Members of West African countries have felt the need and the desire to correct foundational Black Americans with respect to our history and our culture, and make fun of us because we don't have, in their words, we don't have our own names. So I turned that mirror around to examine them. And I wanted to say, well, they're proud of their country. Therefore, let's examine the name of the country. And we found several things about these African countries that the majority of African countries not only are not named by Africans, they're named by the people that they say they despise, the colonizer. Wani, where does the word Sierra Leone come from?
I don't know. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I think it's Portuguese, by the way.
Yeah, that's not African. That's Portuguese. A-
It sure is.
And if you're in control of a country, why don't you fucking change the
What about
name?
Ivory Coast? You want me to look them all up?
Come on
Ivory
with it,
Coast,
Wani.
Ivory Coast is on French. Cote
Is
d'Ivoire.
that French? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we're scholarly examining these places full of people who examine us without scholarship. I've had it. I've had it with members of the diaspora, particularly West Africa, telling me who I am and coming in spaces and telling me about my history, you know? So let's examine their history. Let's examine their place. Let's see how it works.
Well, the other thing that we were saying is a lot of the tribes are pretend to have these long historical roots that we need to link back to, and we're more stable and older than a lot of those groups. And they've also been named by Europeans who just decided that that's their name. And they don't push back. So it's very strange. I don't understand the lack of pushing back from Indians. I don't understand the lack of pushing back from Africans. Um, is it just because, hey, everybody knows us by this name, or are they just psychologically damaged? That's really what I want to know.
That's a good question, Wani. From my studies and my personal experience, I was shocked to see that West Africa was so outrageously colonized. Um, Number one, there weren't buildings standing on West Africa. There weren't many buildings standing that were older than say 200 years. So either A, there weren't buildings standing in the first place when the Europeans got there, or more than likely B, when the Europeans got there, they burned everything to the ground and reestablished these nation states in their namesake, which is the point of this space. It's important to know that European countries hold a lot of these African nation states on a string like a puppet, where all of their, or the majority of their, shit, I'm just gonna say all of their resources are siphoned from Africa to Europe, rebranded through Europe, and sold to the world at a premium. Chocolate is a good example of that. A lot of the world's chocolate comes from Ghana and from Cen- um, Central West Africa. But when we think of chocolate, what do we think of? German, Belgian chocolate, right? Godiva. I don't know where Godiva is, but that don't sound African. Was that French? Right. So, you know, why
Now,
don't I must just say this real quick, Wani. Why don't members, if Africans are in sole control of Africa, why don't they brand their chocolate? I want to buy some Ghanaian chocolate. I want to be pretty in a gold bowl, and I want to give it to my lady. I'm sick of giving her white man's chocolate that was rose in Ghana. So why don't they control their assets? Why don't they control their resources?
now, I wanted to say I just discovered something else that's even worse because I thought Uganda was uh, like the original name, but it used to be called British East Africa, and that was Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And let me do another one. German Southwest Africa is now Namibia. Um, they were calling Ghana the Gold Coast. Uh, Hausa land, Hausa land was called Niger in Nigeria. I mean, it's called Niger in Nigeria now. So I guess Hausa people are in Niger too. I just don't know everywhere that Hausa people are. Let me see. Now this one is interesting. Nasiland is now Malawi, and then Mozambique. used to be called Portuguese East Africa. And then you've got Rhodesia Northern and Rhodesia Southern, which is Zambia and Zimbabwe. So the European had a bunch of these named. Now, Ethiopia used to be called Abyssinia, and Djibouti, which is fun to say, used to be called the Afars and Issa's territory. I don't know if I'm saying Issa's correctly. The Afar people, they are the ones that look like the people on the hieroglyphics. It's like, oh my God, they took a snapshot of you. So they're an Ethiopian group. Let me see. Benadir? No, Bennett, Benadir, Somalia. Now, some of these names are, named by the local people, but not before the European took a bite out of its ass and put their stamp on it. See, Mali was called French Sudan. This is really, this is horrible. This list is awful of all of the names that the European gave things before they reclaimed part of their some part of their name, but some of the names that they claimed are still European names or things that Europeans called them. It's not even, it's just more like they're calling you something and they don't care whether you like it or not. It's just like, yeah, you guys are this. And then they just accept it. That's the part that's striking. It's striking because of our attitude of pushing back on things and thinking about things. Sometimes it's not practical. Like if we say, hey, we're angry with uh, the European, we refuse to speak English. That's not practical. Or we're going to create a new language, or we're going to speak Tut all the time. That isn't practical. And I remember when I was visiting Hawaii for just a few days, they were having an uprising over there because they said that they didn't want to speak English anymore. They were refusing to speak English and spoke their Hawaiian language. And that had everybody in a tizzy because they said, oh no, these children are going to end up totally messed up. They're not going to be able to function outside of this tiny little circle of people that are speaking this language. So they were very, very upset that that was a movement. I don't know where that is going because that happened. I was over there in 2001 or 2002. I don't know what happened with that movement to not speak English.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. We're looking at colonization on a very deep meta level. Meta means very small. If you look in central South Africa, one of the largest lakes in the world, I remember one of my teachers saying it is the largest lake in the world, but fact check that for me. Looking right in the middle of that beautiful land of near Tanzania, you see Lake Victoria. To my understanding, that's named after a English queen. My question is, why in the motherfuck do people in Tanzania, Kenya, how many countries is it? Uganda?
They
I'm leaving.
love the queen. They love that woman. They
Oh, say
literally
it
love
ain't
that
so,
woman.
Wani.
And I had another friend from Sri Lanka, and he was laughing. He said that um, they view the queen as just a glimmer of civilization, and they associate everything with being civilized and getting away from their background. So this is why they really like it because they don't want to be in Sri Lanka and they don't want to be in Africa, in any African country, and then they associate this queen and where she lives as just a glimmer of hope of being civilized.
Wow, that's psycho.
That was right from the Sri Lankan's mouth. He tried to explain it to me because I said, "How come you don't like your regional food?" Oh no, my parents would never cook that. They didn't want anything to do with Southeast Asian or Southwest Asian or Indian type, Sri Lankan type, Bangladeshi type. They didn't want anything to do with it. Anything in that region, he was not interested in it at all.
Wow, that's so amazing. Well, Dr. Welsing, Francis Welsing, wrote about how Europeans turned the likeness of Jesus the Christ into a white man to attack the mind. So what you told me, Juan, it kind of sounded like that. The Sri Lankans associate in their brain computer a European likeness with something civilized, something pure, something clean. Well, if you do the math on that equation, if they think that something European is clean, civilized, when they look in the mirror and they see somebody who's obviously not European, do they think the inverse of themselves? Do they think themselves to be dirty and primitive? I think so. And I think that's one of the problems that we as foundational Black Americans suffer in our beautiful country called America. That we suffer people from the diaspora from these countries that we've mentioned over here as immigrants who view Europeans in the likeness of God, like Dr. Welsing said so clearly. And if they view Europeans in the likeness of civility and God, what do they view me as? They view me as the help. And then you have white supremacy perpetuating itself through a brown man or a brown woman. And we have another adversary to counter.
Richard, Richard, how may we help you?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I just requested to speak was just to ask some
You're a
questions.
little bit muffled.
Yeah. Can you hear me better?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, I have an old iPhone 7, so just bear with me.
Do you have on a headphone
No, I
set?
do not have headphones. No, I do not have any headphones on.
What?
No, I do not have any headphones on.
Wow.
Well, sit up. Just sit up and let us know what you're doing, what you're here for.
Yeah, okay. Well, the reason why I just requested to speak was just to ask some questions. I see that the title of the space is "Are any African countries named by Africans?" Named after. There are some African countries that are named by Africans.
So stop right there, Richard. What's your lineage? Where are your people from?
My lineage.
Yes, sir.
My folks are from Senegal.
Okay, so you're Senegalese, both sides, right?
Yes,
Okay. Carry on. And you live in the United States?
yes.
Okay, why did your parents come to the States?
Uh, well, they immigrated here back in 1995. They came to the U.S. back in 1995.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much the same reasons like what y'all always talk about in spaces about how most Africans how they come to the U.S. for a better for a better life and economic opportunities and that sort of thing.
Got it. Got it. Okay, carry on, Richard. What were you saying?
All right. Well, yeah. So I mean, well, one of my questions I would like to ask is like, what do you think? Like, do you think that these diaspora wars are kind of hindering like, just black people as a race in general?
But that's not part of our title. If you're not here to speak on the title, I don't know what you think this is. I'm getting annoyed. I'm getting pissed off already because you see the title, you clearly brought the title up, and now you're changing the subject. If you don't want to speak on the title, get the fuck off the stage.
I mean, I just asked an important question. I just asked a good question. I'm just
Well, you don't get to come here and then ask whatever you want. We have a title, we have a subject that we're working on. If you don't want to speak on it, get out of here.
I was just asking a question. But okay, I guess okay. But I guess in reference to the title, there are countries that are named after by Africans,
Okay, I'm listening.
like uh, like
Ghana.
this is like Zimbabwe's one.
Well,
There's one.
Zimbabwe, Wani, am I tripping or does Zimbabwe used to be Rhodesia? I think I may be I may be off kilter, but I think if I recollect, Zimbabwe would used to be named Rhodesia, which was a colony of the Dutch or the Germans. So even if that's true, I think it's fair to say that they recently named themselves. This isn't new. Richard. So yeah, okay, I give you that. Zimbabwe allegedly. Let's just say that.
But they had a previous name.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they've recently changed their name. So,
Uh,
Richard, can you give me an African country that's always been named after an African?
Professor, all these countries are new,
uh,
bro. You're probably older than all these countries.
I do not think all.
Hold on,
I do
Mo.
not think of
What you say? What you say, Richard?
that's, that has always been named by Europeans. For the most part, I would say. What about Tanzania?
Tanzania. That's a good one. I don't know.
No, that's they were named something else. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
like
Tanzania. I think that was named something else too.
German.
I believe that.
That's the British East Africa.
Oh wow,
Was
yeah.
was Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. Yep.
They all named by Europeans. Well, they were all named by Europeans.
Well, it Tanz,
I
Tanz
didn't say that. I said that they had been named. Some of these names look like local names to me, or parts of them anyway.
Right, right, correct,
and
correct, correct.
Tanzania is very young. It's my parents are older than my father's older than Tanzania. Tanzania was founded in the 60s. So, I mean, that's new, my friend. I want to see, bro, what I want to see, what I want to hear from all the vitriol I'm hearing from West Africa and some parts of South Central Africa coming towards foundational and East Africa coming towards foundational Black Americans because we don't know who we are and we don't have our name. I want to hear of an African country that's been named by an African country since the beginning. Name me one.
Well. I mean, from the very beginning. I mean, if we're gonna go that far back in history,
Well, stop.
yeah,
Let me clarify myself. We don't have to go that far back. If you don't, if I'm just saying, name me it. America. We're in the United States of America. America has been America for over 200 years now. So name me. Let's keep it fair like that. Name me an African country at least as old as the United States of America that's always had its name and was named by an African person. Go.
mm, I do not think I can think of any of the 54 that have always been named by Africans. I think because, well, I mean, they probably did. Well, I mean, I'm not too sure, honestly.
See,
I mean, they were before nation states. Before they became nation states. Before most of these African countries became modern nation states, they were mostly kingdoms and stuff like
territorial kingdoms. I said this already. But
that. Yeah.
But why didn't they stick together to keep their territorial kingdom?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And don't get me wrong, I'm not in a pissing contest with Africa. I'm just illustrating that Africans are in no position to tell foundational Americans who we are or who we aren't. Because we know ourselves, that's my thesis. We know ourselves better than Africans know themselves.
right.
Right?
I, right. I agree. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. You have any more comments, Richard? Go ahead and land your plane.
Uh, no, that's about it. That's all I've had to say. That's all.
What's your lineage from? I forgot.
Huh?
Are you from Senegal?
Yes, my folks are from Senegal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to British Tim and then we'll roll back to Mo. Go ahead, British Tim.
Hey, yeah, hi. Thank you for letting me talk. So I guess just answering the question, I suppose there's Ghana, but if you're looking for ones that go further back, I suppose you could
Hold on,
say,
hold on. I go to Ghana quite often. Ghana is not the name. It was named Gold Coast before. Ghana is
okay,
a relatively new name. Let's find out
yeah, that's fine.
how old Ghana is.
So I guess going further back, perhaps you could talk about Congo. So from what I know, you had the Congo Kingdom, and then that name was kind of a crossover to Congo in general. So there's Congo. Then prior to Ghana being called the Gold Coast, it was the Ashanti Kingdom.
Yeah, but
Now, let me give you some
go ahead,
stuff
Juan.
from that. Belgian Congo was the name, so they kept the Congo part and just put their name in front of it. Then it was changed to Democratic Republic of the Congo. At some point, it was called Katanga. Yeah, Katanga. And then Democratic Republic of the Congo was previously called Zaire.
Yes, but then for I think from maybe the 1500s or 1600s, you'll find Portuguese explorers who visited the Congo. And yeah, at that time it was known
Mm-hmm.
as the Congo Kingdom, but it was
Yes,
Congo with a K. So you
right.
do have the Congo. Again, there was the Ashanti Kingdom. The Ashanti Empire was essentially the size of modern day Ghana. Within Nigeria, there's the Oyo Empire. There's a bunch of different empires and kingdoms that went by their own respective names. So yeah, I think yeah, there are African countries who are named by Africans, whether they're recent, like newly independent countries or going further back.
Well, British Tim,
Yeah.
one of the categories you brought up Congo with a K. I'm glad you did because I got something to say about that. Um, but first off, uh, one of the criterion is they still have to have their name. We're still the United States of America. Nothing's changed. We're the United States of America. We kept our name, right? Name. We want to know an African country that, since its origin, at least as old as the United States of America, has kept its name. Congo is no longer Congo with a K. It's Congo with a C, and the Democratic Republic of Congo is split, sliced, dashed, diced, and remixed like an old P. Diddy song. Now, I'm glad that you brought up Congo with a K. Ladies and gentlemen, I wrote on this ad nauseum in my book that you can purchase on Our Story Publications. But anyway, long story short, how was Congo conquered? Congo with a K, conquered. Like the gentleman said, the Portuguese did come to Congo. They come and they met somebody named King Alphonse. He was a Congolese king. And King Alphonse, for some reason, trusted these Portuguese who called themselves um, members of the Catholic Church. They came over dressed like Catholic priests, when in essence they were looking for women to steal. They were looking to have harems. They were looking to have prostitutes, and they were looking for more women to steal. King Alphonse trusted them because they said they were coming to spread the good word of the Lord. And by the time King Alphonse realized that they were coming there to pimp and to slaughter, it was too late. Congo was taken over. So there goes more naivete on behalf of African leadership. And my question is, why do they trust these people? Why did King Alphonse trust the Portuguese?
I think if I could just quickly respond to that, I think it always becomes tricky when we examine history to kind of like, yeah, look at it through the lens of what we know today. Looking at it with that 2020 vision. I think when you look at the context of Africa and just different African nations at that time, it was so isolated from the rest of the world and separated from it. I don't even think the concept of an Africa, even existed back then. I don't even think anyone on the continent was even aware of an Africa as it is today. It was just such a different time. Yeah, just they were just so
Well, why
isolated,
do they trust him now?
geographically.
Why
Good
do they trust
question.
him now?
Why did they?
Why do they trust the Europeans now? A-
Um,
And hold on one second for you respond, Tim. One, that was so brilliant. Tim, I give that to you. Being isolated in a culture that was a more innocent, I dig it. A new group of people come in, you give them the benefit of the doubt, right? But after 500 years, like our sister Wani said, why do they still trust these people?
um, yeah, I guess that's where I will just have a completely different view to everybody here in terms of yeah, best, I'm just gonna make my point. Well, yeah, having spent some time in different African countries, I would say that yeah, I guess yeah, over there in Africa, people aren't as rate focused on race. It's more kind of based on perhaps the tribe of the person, or yeah, maybe just their nationality. So I think within Africa, they don't necessarily focus on people's skin color as much. And to be honest, just going by what I
Why
saw
did
while
they
I was
trust
there
the white
traveling in
tribe
different
then?
countries,
Why would hold on, hold on,
Europeans,
hold on, hold on,
Europeans, I'm going to finish my point.
hold
Europeans do not
on.
trust
Hold on,
No,
Tim. It's a good
answer the
question. Go ahead,
question.
Tim.
Damn.
Go ahead, Wani.
You said they're not focused on race, fine. But why do they trust them?
I
They're
think he left off
they're
Um,
another
stage or
they're
was
another
Adam.
group.
I didn't kick him
I
off.
didn't
They're
kick him
another
off either.
group.
trust
Go ahead,
them.
Tim.
I mean, I guess that trust is established on an individual to individual, government to government, nation to nation basis. There are some African countries that trust, Asian or other African nations more. It does all depend. And again, it's just, I think nowadays it's just business.
Which
Within
Africans trust
Africa,
each other?
Europe and a lot
Oh
of
Lord.
Europe and US corporations do good business in Africa, and this is business, yeah. So that's what I
Okay,
would say.
you're not doing any business. You're just getting bent over. But yeah, okay, if you think you are, fine.
No, that's just wrong.
Which
You have you been to
Africans?
Africa before?
Shh, which Africans trust each other? Which African countries and groups trust each other?
Um, Quite a few. I mean, you have
Name them.
multiple. Okay, yeah. So you've got what's it, SADC? You've got ECOWAS. You have all of the different
Hold on. Who?
regional blocks.
Oh,
They're
you're
working
just
on the
making up
African
names
Continental
now,
Free Trade Agreement. So
huh?
yeah,
Fat
yeah. No, they
ass.
do
Who?
trust each other.
Yeah, you got Shasta Cola
What?
too, right? The
What
Shasta
did he
Cola.
say?
These are
So
regional
yeah, the
blocks.
evidence doesn't
Did he
agree with
say
you, but I'll
Shadrach?
land my plane.
Oh,
We don't have a
hold
plane.
on. I got a question. Because given what you said, Tim, let's look at what Chancellor Williams said on page. Well, I'm not sure with the page, but um, in the destruction of African civilization, we're talking about trust. Chancellor Williams said the Portuguese Christianization of the Congo with a K created something more than chaos. He says more than chaos. It was a revolting mess, no matter what angle it was viewed. To begin with, priests, the Portuguese priests, were not only among the leading slave traders, but they also owned the slave ships to carry the black cargoes to distant land. Priests also had their harems of black girls, some having as much as 20 each. They had 20 bras on their shoulders, man. And King Alphonse wrote all this down. Surely people talked and said, man, these Portuguese don't believe in Jesus. They over here pimping. Word spread. So, given the fact I know this, I'm sure the Congolese know this. So, given that fact, why the hell do they trust these people? Where is the
This
trust coming from,
guy,
Tim?
this guy, Alphonse. Well, it says Alfonso,
Yes,
but
spell
whatever.
funny. Alfonso.
Um, he was considered a vassal king.
Uh oh.
Okay. Um, he's basically he's like a Portuguese by proxy or something. I mean, he was already brainwashed to begin with. Look at his name.
Wow. Mm.
This is how they got him. They converted them and weakened them. Um, this is how you get your way. That's how the Romans did it. They Romanized everybody. They had everybody be in the same religion. Oh, this is the new state religion. We all have to think alike. That way, it weakens people. And this person was trying to be Portuguese. Therefore, he went along with whatever they said.
Wow. Did y'all hear what Wani just said? Ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the biggest teaching moments we've ever had in our space. Wani is talking about King, I don't know how to pronounce it, Alfonso, but it's spelled funny, of the Congo. I didn't know that the Portuguese intercepted Alphonse before the instance of Chancellor Williams' book because he doesn't really talk about it. It was my first time hearing about Alphonse, but this is the point. As Wani just brought out, this Congolese king was infiltrated by the Portuguese long before. So the message we learning in this is we need to delineate because the best way to destroy a people is from within. And by the time the Portuguese slave traders and pimps and hustlers showed up talking about they worshiped the Lord, Alphonse was ready to let them in because he was already a mole.
Right. He is called the Apostle King of the Congo for his role in making Congo a Christian kingdom. So he was already kneaded and softened up. So you can do anything with him. You can mold him any way you want.
If you think, Wani, that's why, is that similar logic is why our pastors are not trustworthy in general anymore in the black church? There's a lack of trust going in the black church lately. Maybe we'll save that for another space.
Yeah, I mean, they tell people who to vote for. They soften everybody up, and you it's a place for indoctrination. You have to think no matter where you are. You can never let your guard down anywhere. Unfortunately, there's no safe spaces.
This is facts, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent point. Chief Brave, what's on your mind, man?
Peace to the gods, man. Peace to the gods. Now, I was going to say, I study a lot of history. I study a lot of African history. I know a lot of cultures' history. Even the history of America, even the history of West Africa. A lot of times, I grew up around a lot of Africans. I'm from New Jersey, so I grew up around a lot of Africans, um, Jamaicans, Haitians, Caribbeans. We've always had these arguments and these discussions and these fights. We used to go to war back then, but when you talk to them, when I talk to them, I always, because they always, if you grew up around con artists, then you know a con artist. So a lot of times a con artist will try and keep you on the defensive if he's trying to enforce himself, if he's trying to impose his will upon you. So a lot of times what they like to do is always ask you questions and project who they are off on you. But the reverse to that is to ask them, because when you started asking old boy a bunch of questions, he started stuttering and stammering and start stumbling over his words. He don't know really how to respond. But they sound real intelligent. They sound real high up when they always asking you questions. But if you ask them many of them same questions, their answers their answers are worthless or useless. They don't really have good answers. That's all I really wanted to say. When dealing with them.
Appreciate it, brother. Real good point. Uh, let's go to LL Cool Trey. What's going on?
Hey, shout out Professor A. How you doing, Sissy Wani? Nikki G, how you doing? I'm gonna get in and out real quick, and I'm gonna go back and sit in class. But I just wanna bring the attention to the family on I come from the teachers of the unorthodox Bobby Hemmett, and he say that the melanated people that we deal with over here in the country, they're not African, they're British and French. If you listen to both of them who came in here trying to explain to us about our scholarship about knowing what's going on in the diaspora, they're not talking in their tongue. A British Tim, how you British and you trying to speak for African? You're supposed to be speaking in your tongue. So we need to understand the
I
people
lived
that
in
we dealing
Africa.
with. We need to understand the people that we dealing with, I mean, and going back to the scholarships y'all was dropping, the sun never sets on the British Empire. They been ravaging for centuries. They had a whole section in the middle of China. So when this
Preach.
topic comes up, just like the brother that was just speaking, just like when you hit him with a question, he didn't have no response to it. So we need to understand the melanated people that we dealing with over here, they're not African. They're British and French. And shout out to the space.
Thank you. I wanted to ask British Tim, why are you calling yourself British, Tim? Question number one. I got a couple of them. Hello.
Get him,
No,
Wani. Get him, Wani.
I
Why
mean,
would
yeah, I'm
you
born and
call
raised
your
in the UK. That's what I identify with. My
That's
choice.
so funny because I would never say I'm American me. That doesn't come
Okay,
first. Okay,
so that's
that's
you, I
fine. That's your
suppose.
right.
Yeah.
That's your right. That's your right.
Thank you.
You can call yourself a Swede. Go ahead and do it. Now, do you think that the Queen of England was an English woman?
I know what your point
Was the
is. Like
Queen
she
of
was born
England?
in
Let
England.
shh,
No,
listen.
don't. You know, I'm answering your question. She
Shh,
was born in England and she's descended from Germany. I don't know what your point is.
relax. That was the point. Now, she's not English. She is
Yes, she
German.
is.
No, she's not.
You don't understand English history and
Yes,
genealogy.
I do.
No, you
She's
don't.
German and she can't be
Most
English.
English are descended from Germans one way or
Oh
another
my
from thousands.
freaking God. She is straight up German.
Well,
She knows her full lineage, and we're not talking about them being amalgamated. The lady is German, like all monarchy,
preach.
all of them.
Our
Now,
our brother Malcolm X said if a cat has kittens in the oven, that doesn't mean that they're biscuits. They still kittens.
so that lady could never be English in a million years. Okay? Now let's get to you. You're running around straight out of Africa flexing that you're British. What the hell is wrong with you people? You
No,
just
nothing's
got
wrong
there.
with
You
me
just
at all,
rolled
and
up
you
on
don't
the shore. You
understand
just
English
rolled up in a
history.
damn canoe, and now you have changed your whole ethnicity. Why? You're not
I haven't
proud
changed my
of.
ethnicity. I've changed my nationality. There's a difference, dumbass.
Listen, you're not proud of being African, Tim. What the fuck is that? Tim. Damn, Tim bolted the hell up out of here. He don't want nothing to do with my
He
ass.
had to go. He was gonna tell us Tim is a Nigerian name. That's what he was gonna say. Wani ran his ass up out of here. He said, "Cheerio, cheerio."
Pip pip toodaloo.
Ah,
Did he just pip pip
that was good.
toodaloo his ass the hell up out of here? Just checking. Just checking.
Go ahead, Hauser.
It was nothing I said. I was just asking simple questions.
I'm I gotta clear
Yeah,
up
it was
because
just
I'm
a, yeah, you're just
Wani
asking
got me
questions.
laughing like I'm cracking up back here because he just ran. Shout out to everyone, Nikki the God, Professor, everybody in the room. You touched on something when you mentioned. Hold on, let me just address the thing. Are any African countries named by Africans? Not to my knowledge. I'm not going to say I'm a renowned scholar on none of that. I'm not going to do that. But I was just doing a little AI information, and most of I see the names that's been named after them is by a river. Uh, what is it? Rwanda River, and I only seen Portuguese, French. I seen German. One of the countries is named after a German, I think. I mean France. But anyway, AI. One thing I know about AI, when it comes to the dominant society, anything that's pertaining to them, and when you question AI about it, they will say the opposite of what we know. And once we feed it back to AI, he will correct it. That's one thing I know
Hmm.
about AI. So I don't.
That's
Uh,
exactly what I've experienced.
yes, it'll come back. You absolutely right. But anyway, uh, when you mention infiltration and how a lot of the Europeans went up into Africa and laid their skills down and convinced a lot of the. But first of all, before they started naming those countries, I mean, after the empires fell, they had a lot of empires in Africa. After they fell, right, Ronnie? That's when they started naming African countries these names. Am I correct?
Um,
After the empires fell.
I don't know when they actually named them.
I think it was
Different,
Okay.
it's like different times.
wasn't
These new names, I
a
believe, is
lion
in
share created during the Berlin conference.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
wasn't it
hold
also
that
during the
thought for a
scramble
minute,
of Africa?
Professor,
Yeah.
and let me get to mine, and I'm gonna let you guys finish. But anyway, when you and Ronnie mentioned penetration, right, and how the Europeans came up in there, laid their pimping game down, and just basically ravished the continent itself. This same method is being applied to us when they sneak over here and get into our spaces. As you see them, a lot of the immigrants, second generation, first generation, they in the offices. They politicians right now. They police officers. They correction officers, and they just basically like coming right up in our space and undermine us every chance they get. Now, this Britain guy, he said he's from Britain. You just started questioning, right? One thing I know about the Africans I deal with here in New York is that they love pointing out the underbelly of black society in America. Oh, black on black crimes. Oh, you're lazy, this, that, and the third. But once you ask them two or three questions about their country and where they're from, mum's the word, or they'll run. I'll land my plane.
I don't understand how their minds want to compare local, unorganized crime that everybody in the whole world has in their communities in some small number to the levels of complete and utter devastation, literal terrorist acts,
Right,
scams,
right.
genocides, local crime, people getting gunned down when they just go to vote, just everything, just raided at the market, people's heads cut off and tucked under their left arm neatly and a sheet put on them. Just different types of things. Like every level, just regular street crime, stabbings, home invasions, kidnapping people and demanding ransom and killing them when you don't get it. They have all kinds of things.
Yes, there's a
And
lot
they
going on.
try
Yes.
to compare that. They want to compare a black American prostitute, which has been blown up on black exploitation films. In reality, that's a tiny population that you see here and there in various neighborhoods
Small
where
pockets. Small,
they
very
have
small.
they have completely populated with millions of women over in Europe, to the point where a black woman going on a vacation is mistaken for a prostitute. That's how many there are, millions. Now, I'd like to find out who's buying all these people, but it's millions of them, and they're all over the place. They're not even hidden. They jump out in the middle of the street. They don't care if you run over them with a car. They have a death wish. They're doing all kind of things, laying on mattresses in the woods, making a complete mockery. They are just unbelievable. To try to compare these little things in our society to their inflated global behavior is incredible. These people are wanted by Interpol. They're international criminals, and we never could be. Their passports are banned. Our passports are not banned. We're summoned to go to countries to do things. They don't want them in their country at all. They don't want to see their face ever, because they're the face of begging for resources. They only want to see people that are going to come there and vacation, spend money, and leave, or people that are going to move there and create businesses for their people. Those are the only people they want to see. And Africans just are not the face of that.
Hey, Wani, may I add on to what you were saying?
Sure.
Previously, you and Professor was talking about how the men openly, willingly submit their kids, their offspring, their daughters to be taken away from them. And you say, just don't kill me. And you saying, Professor, that's happening right now.
Yes.
And a lot of these people, a lot of these people that come here from abroad, mainly from the continent of Africa, they know what's going on. But they have the audacity to come into our space, meaning in America, and point out something about Pookie and Ray Ray acting up, cutting up, based upon that. But we're 45, 43 million deep. Based upon what you seen down there on 42nd Street, you seen a couple of hood boogers cutting up. And based upon that there, you're going to measure us as a people? How dare you land my plane?
They never want to talk about calculating the moon landing. 50,000 inventions or patents in a short period of time and still going. They never want to talk about 101 HBCUs. They never want to talk about us having sports legends in 50 sports and competitions. They never want to speak about those things. They never want to talk about anything. They just want to talk about a handful of people that they perceive as criminals, and those people don't even rise to the level of their criminality. Like I said, they have criminality on every conceivable level of crime, including child abuse.
Yeah, I was looking up what Wani was talking about. It's called Strata Bonifa. I don't know what that says in Italian, but there's a road in Italy. It's actually not funny at all. It's very sad. But there's a road in Italy. Well, I guess the Italian men want black prostitutes, but there are African prostitutes just lined up on the side of the road. Like Lonnie was being literal. They're on the side of the road with mattresses. It's terrible. But they come over here and focus on crime in Chicago, which I'm Dick Gregory said that the crime in Chicago is staged. That's what Dick Gregory said. He said a lot of that shit is about organ harvesting. It's outside of our hands. Some of the most professional, um, established, organized brothers and sisters I've ever met were out of Chicago. Dr. Welsing was out of Chicago. So miss me with that Chicago bullshit. We're gonna go ahead with Mo and then the black.
The black will go first. He been waiting for a minute.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, the black. Thank you, Mo.
What's going on, Professor Nikki, Wani, everybody else in the
Yes,
room?
sir.
Uh, are any African countries named by Africans? That since we started this discussion, it seems like it's a clear fact no. These are named after Europeans and their other counterparts. Then does AI be lying? Yeah, unfortunately, yes. But I feel like since it's a learning app that uh, computes data from different uh, pieces of the internet, we can teach it to tell the truth if we wanted to. Uh, so I say it kind of does if we continue to not utilize it and force it to be more truthful. And then I want to add, would you consider like these countries or these people that's coming from different countries kind of like cockroaches? When you lift up we turn on a light, they just scatter, and wherever they land, they try to make that their new habitat and home.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but what I would say it's worse than that. It's they pretend to be brothers and sisters, and they get into our inner sanctums of power and freeze us out. They join members of our legacy organizations. They come to our historically black colleges. They go to our medical schools and law schools and then graduate and laugh at us and call us lazy and stupid. I've had enough, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's time for a little gatekeeping. That's just my opinion. some legal gatekeeping, because historically black colleges were historically made for black Americans. You know, I'm just saying. You land your plane, black.
Yeah. So do you see a clear pathway for us doing that? Because right now I kind of see it is being very possible and feasible for us to like take back our claim and our right to
Yes.
throw these. See, that's all I need to
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It's
I feel like we're in great hands now.
Yeah, it's going to be legislation. It's going to be law. We need our politicians to pass bills to stand up for our statutes being in their being for their original meaning. We seen Donald Trump do it, believe it or not, with the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was created for black people, for foundational black Americans. That's the only fucking reason it was created. So we need some a new generation of foundational black American politicians to take the lead and say, hey, look, I'm standing on business. And this is what this statute means. And we also need to introduce new bills to become law that protect, like Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson says something, and I'm going to brutalize it. I'm paraphrasing, but y'all get the gist. He said, we need to be viewed as a protected class. That's some shit that needs to happen, because we are an exceptional people. There's no people on this planet, in this country, like us. And politicians in here, we need legislation to protect us as such, because we deserve to be protected. The 14th Amendment was created for our protection. But I digress. We're gonna go with Mo, and then Bless is fine. Go ahead, Mo.
Yeah, back to the topic. Are any Africans countries named by Africans? Yeah, most of these countries are new. After colonizations, they named it after something indigenous. So, I mean, like I said, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because nations change, shit changes over time. Most countries don't have their original name, and it is what it is.
Well, I hear you, Mo, but given that fact you just said, why do people come in here from Ghana and from Nigeria and from other places, from Somalia, that feel the need to tell Black Americans we don't know who we are and we don't have our name?
Right. If you're going to do that, you need to have long, strong roots to say, this is what you were cut off from. This is your language that you were speaking when you left. Obviously, no one can say that. That's why we were told to speak Swahili, which is on the other side of the continent. They don't know what they're talking about. Those people and languages didn't even exist. So, how are we supposed to reach back to roots that don't exist? And in fact, they are rotten roots. So, why would I want to reach back to them? I don't have one African lineage, I have a lot of them. Which one am I supposed to reach back to? Explain that. 38 countries?
Hmm.
Listen.
Yeah, when people say Black Americans don't have culture, it's pretty stupid because everyone has culture. At the end of the day, it's a pretty stupid point. Like someone comes from something, so anyone that says
Well,
it's famous,
the funny thing about it is, I know why people say that. It's because our culture is so large, they can't see that they're drowning in it. That's number one. I get it. They're doing our culture, they're saying those words, they're trying to dress like us, they're trying to create Africanized hip hop. They're doing our culture so much that they don't even realize what they're doing. And the other thing is that not only do we have culture, it's not like, oh, yeah, we dug up something and yeah, those poor little Black Americans have culture. We have a lot of music genres. In fact, two of them are internationally yanked from us, which we don't care. Afrobeat and reggae. Those are two music genres we directly created. Okay? And every popular music genre in America. And we can go toe to toe on that anytime anyone wants. Okay? So not only do we not just have one thing, we have massive amounts of culture where some people have to share a cuisine like Mediterranean cuisine. They share that in multiple countries. We have two. And I want to point something out. The Greco Roman Empire has been working on food development for thousands of years, and they have a shared cuisine. Italian cuisine is about Italian people, but they have a shared cuisine in some of these places. And that's after thousands of years. We've been here hundreds of years and we have two cuisines. I found a recipe for curry that's 5,000 years old. These cuisines have been honed over thousands of years to come up with a cuisine. And we have a globally embraced cuisine that people are over in Europe trying to say they have a soul food restaurant and not a black American in the joint. Okay, so we have way more culture than everybody. Whatever you say culture is, we have it tenfold versus people that and when you travel, you'll get a cultural show. They'll say, "Oh, this is our music and our dance." They have one dance and one music. Sometimes not even music, just banging on a drum. Versus developed complex music genres up against people banging on a drum and doing the same dance they've been doing since forever. And I'm not picking on Africa because I can do the same thing in Asia. They'll have a traditional dance and songs. I can do the same thing in the Middle East. They have the belly dancer music and the same dance. They have a traditional dance, and I'm not belly dancing, okay? You're not belly dancing. Nobody's trying to copy that. They haven't modernized their culture. They just leap right on to what we're doing. And that's all of them. The same thing with Native Americans. They're over there talking about Inuit jazz. What are you talking what? How did you get involved? They didn't modernize. They have drum circles and they have the same dance they've been doing. And they're not making people do their dance. So we have an astronomical amount of culture where other people do not, and they have the audacity to speak about it. There's no cookbook coming out of West Africa that predates our 1848 cookbook. Show me your food. You can't claim my food and you have no proof of what you were eating. Now, if they showed me a pre-colonial cookbook in the 15 or the 1400s and I saw some macaroni and cheese and fried chicken, I'd shut up. But drawing something on a rock and hitting a monkey in the head is your cuisine. You can
Preach.
make up a cuisine to satisfy the international community, which is what a lot of countries do. It's not just African countries. They know that they're expected to have a cuisine, so they make a fake cuisine up and say that, oh, we've been eating this the whole time. No, you haven't. You've been eating slugs, okay? You've been digging up big worms. You've been catching mosquitoes and making burgers out of it. You've been doing a lot of things that no one wants to talk about. So you have to make up an acceptable, palatable cuisine that is fake, that is colonized and fake. And not only that, you did the ultimate, which has made me see red permanently. You have the audacity to claim that your funky dishes that you just made up 50 years ago, when the heat started getting on you and people started looking at you, you made those up and had the nerve to say that our soul food comes from you. You don't have anything for it to come from. Like I said, you want to steal somebody's food, you better provide a cookbook that predates our book, our earliest cookbook in 1848, which is published.
Preach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Wani was touching on something that our brother Bobby Hemmett really cooked up, and then he disappeared. If anybody knows what Bobby Hemmett is, let me know. I'd like to send him a letter or two. But Bobby said he insinuated that there is a reason why the system keeps us away from our history, foundational Black Americans. Bobby argues that our culture, in addition to what we have now, is really close to Egyptian culture, what was called Egyptian culture. It's just we don't know what Egyptian culture was. And let me go ahead and land my plane on this point. Now, we're told we didn't have a history and we didn't have a this, we didn't have a that. Bobby argued that the main reason they don't let you know who you are, because if you know who you are, you would see that your whole history, your whole language, your whole everything was stolen. Bobby insinuated that ancient Egyptian sounded a whole lot like English. So we could be speaking in our native tongue and not even know it. Um, the crazy shit about that theory was we all know that Europeans do not have a history of creating any goddamn thing. Somebody please correct me. Do you know of anything the Europeans created without stealing, borrowing, or emulating something? Anything. Food, technology, clothing. Somebody please stand and correct me. I'm willing to be corrected right now. You can't do it, can you? Because Europeans stole everything. So, given the fact that it is damn near common knowledge that Europeans, let's be nice and say, borrowed all of their technology and know how, what makes language any different, ladies and gentlemen? You think a group of people that never created anything all of a sudden created a very mathematical, effective language? I think not. I think we could be speaking Kemetic right now. It just got rebranded as English.
I wanted to follow up on what I was saying to the black. The reason why I said that we're going to reclaim our culture and get these parasites off of it, one of the ways is socially. So when they realize that they're not going to be able to say that they did this and they did that because they're going to be humiliated. People don't like to be humiliated. And I saw a white man humiliate a Jamaican guy one time when he was saying that all of the black music was, oh, that's our, he didn't say it was Jamaican, but he said that's our music. He had us all in one group and he was flexing on the white boy. That's our music. And the white boy said, you don't have anything to do with that. That's black Americans. So when they get enough of that, when we raise that, and socially people push back on them and make them look foolish when they try to claim our things, that's going to help us with the things that we do legislatively.
Hey, what's funny? I do see more white people doing that. And I do find it funny where they tell these different melanated people that yeah, y'all don't have nothing to do with black American accomplishments.
Yeah, they gatekeep our stuff, man. It's
And
true.
we can, the funny thing about it is one of the benefits of being in our position, being a person that has sustained a prolonged ethnogenesis, one of the benefits is that we do have these very long ancestral lines and we can flex Egypt, Egyptian culture on people. Am I Egyptian? No, not at all. I would never claim that identity. However, it's very strange that a lot of black males will get a notification from some of these genealogy companies saying that they are related to King Ramses III and the Amarna mummies. I'm not sure why that person is, you know, continues to come up, but we do have an interest in Egypt. And we do have things in common with Egypt, where Egypt was a big mecca where everybody wanted to go and get a piece of their culture and bring it back. And westernize it. In the case of the Greco-Roman Empire and the Greeks, they were proud, boldly saying that they went over to Egypt and they joined a mystery school, and they were allowed to do this and they learned that. They wrote extensively about it. This is what is happening to us now. We can't see it because we're in it. We can't see it because we're sitting in the greatness of our culture. So uh, we don't notice all of the things until we started to bring it up. Hey, wait a minute. Why is this, Turkish person over here talking about hip hop? Why is this happening? Why is that? We started to notice. And then one day I just looked it up and I said, I'm going to put every country in. I'm going to say Swedish hip hop. I started with hip hop. Every country had a version of our music. And then when they weren't doing that, they were doing jazz and rock in all of these countries. Yep, all of them. The Middle East. I thought you guys weren't allowed to play music, but you're playing ours, aren't you? You're playing our music. Who's
Wow.
next?
I think Bless is fine. I'm Bless fine. Go ahead, Bless.
Hey,
What up? What up? Blessed finesse, brother. Blessed
Oh,
finesse.
I'm sorry.
You
Bless
got to
finesse.
be blessed with the finesse. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
it goes together.
you know what I'm talking about, won't it? But no, y'all, it's a lot. Happy y'all waking it back up per usual. I want to take it back a little bit to what y'all were talking about, then talk about the topic. So I'll start when I think it was the black was saying you had corrected him, Professor. We because we just gotta drill this in our people's head that this is erasure and replacer. If we do not say anything, that is what is gonna happen in every aspect, from every angle. We're talking about from misrepresenting us in media to posing as us in politics, then switching and only pushing policy for their specific ethnicity, and on to getting in management positions and only hiring more of their own people. They are doing this. We don't do that. We can holler who qualified, etc. These folks basically doing what white folks do. If they find out somebody is of their lineage, or they see a Caribbean African last name, they're gonna hire that person over your black ass, if they can. And then they're gonna bring. I've seen this in Atlanta, and it really pisses me off. I forget the name of the nursing home, but I'm gonna remember it. Nursing home on the west side of Atlanta, all black American, 100% black American, and it still is. But guess what? A Caribbean lady started running the place 6 years ago, and I was in there interviewing the Black Americans because I do when I do the work. This is what I do. I educate and interview, etc. The elders, and I was asking them because I noticed that she was Caribbean, but I don't know where. But then I kept every employee. Every employee was Caribbean also. I'm talking about from the janitors to the kitchen staff to the assistant managers, everybody. And I'm like, yo, I'm on the west side of Atlanta. What's going on? So now I'm asking the question. I don't forgot what I was there to even interview them. I'm asking the auntie and them like, hey, how long have it, like, do they be treating y'all right? She said, no, they don't. They be talking all crazy to us. Think they better than us and all that. And I was like, well, I noticed there's a lot of like, that's all that's working here too. And she said, yeah, since that lady been running it, and she don't treat us right, she been bringing more of they people in here to live and to work. So she's actually replacing our people in this old folks home, government funded, and bringing in more Caribbeans and in employment and as residents. And this lady didn't know nothing about none of that. I didn't teach her that yet. But she just told me, like, yeah, they think they better, and they bringing in more of their folk. And it just really goes to show you, y'all, if you don't pay attention, this was happening under our noses. So we got to call this shit out because it's not right. The cosplaying has to stop. And that's only the misrepresenting. That's only one aspect of it. Don't forget, I told you, they're doing it in the media too. That African who played Martin Luther King in Selma, he just got another historical black American role about us, and he's doing that movie. So we got that. But then at the same time, the politics, you can't forget it. AOC and that other, what's that lady in Minnesota? I forgot, she's Ethiopian, but for Somalia. But the point is, they only doing stuff for their.
Ilhan Omar.
Boom.
Ill.
Boom. Tricking folks act under the guise of people of color minority and you only doing more stuff for your people. We gotta continue to drill this in our folks because If they don't understand it, and I'm happy you said that, Professor. I'm running for city council next year here in Atlanta, and that's where I'm gonna
Oh,
start
great.
because I'm tired of it, y'all.
Hey, wonderful, bro.
I'm
Let me know what
tired
I
of
can
it.
do. I'm in ATL too.
Oh, good, good, definitely. We do a lot of stuff, bro. I'm gonna reach out to you. We're doing a lot of stuff. We all the time, but we gotta do this, y'all, because if we don't, it's gonna happen under our noses. And one thing I always like to bring up, because we talk about all the other stuff, is actually the sports, and because they are definitely slowly but surely bringing them in to do that as well. If you notice, all the brothers who know basketball, and you see all they drafting them Africans, they don't.
Uh-oh. Did my thing mess up?
No.
Y'all know we ran baseball. If you know about Kenny Lofton, Otis Nixon, Dale Strawberry, David Justin, the
Right.
'90s was Ken Griffey Jr. Now every name is a black Spanish person. Everything. So
And they said
that
the
is what I want y'all
quality,
to look at too. Go
they
ahead,
said
Wally.
they said the quality of baseball has gone down into the toilet and they need to start recruiting Black American men.
Come on
That's
now.
what Tommy Lasorda said before he died.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
yeah. That and that's why I get so mad because I really use that as an example now because people don't be that baseball is the perfect thing. Baseball was mostly black Americans with a sprinkle of whites in there that was good at pitching and stuff. But we dominated the hell out of baseball. And
Preach.
now it is literally only them. It's hardly any of us on in that at all. And that's one of the highest paying sports we have over here.
Yeah,
But
no cap on it.
so it was strategic. So we got to pay attention. I'll land there for now. Oh no, that was just what I was talking about with y'all. Now let me get on the topic. My bad. All right, but y'all don't forget that, y'all. What I just said. All right. Are any African countries named by Africans? Does AI be lying? Oh my goodness. Talking to these people who claim to have more culture than us, when majority of their flags, our parents are older than these people's flags. Like what
Facts.
what are we talking about? And that is when I tell them that, they like, well, I'm like, no, you can't say nothing. You said we're culturalists, we don't have a homeland, but you literally didn't name your country, and your flag is younger than my mama. But you got pride in that? It don't even make sense to me. Your flag ain't no like what? And you did you pick the flag? No. So that is one thing that the diaspora just needs to get across their head that we're not gonna let up on them because they didn't name their stuff and they didn't create their flags and their flags are young, but want to act like they're more cultured than us when all of them stole their culture from us and to this day are using our culture to exploiting our culture to benefit them. I land. Peace and reparations, family.
Hey, no cap. Appreciate your contribution, bro. We're gonna go to no taxation. Go ahead, no taxation.
Hey, Professor, how you doing?
Long time no see. How you doing?
Good.
Doing
Hey,
well.
Nikki. Hey, Wani. Hey, Black. Hey, House. Hey, Blessed. Vanessa. He said really what in everybody in the room. He said what I was saying. So today, I don't know what happened today, but the South Africans,
I noticed that, but go ahead.
I said, well, where y'all come from? When did y'all have beef with us about some Zulu stuff in New Orleans? Y'all living over there in South Africa? Why are you worried about it? I don't understand why the South Africans is over here by us. They have bigger fish to fry. Well, they don't fry fish anymore. They don't do shit. Let me just say it like that. Excuse me, Professor and Wani and Nikki for cursing. Um, so I put the article up. I can't tell it no more than I can tell it. They can't say a thing to me about anything. I wouldn't even ask them for the time if I didn't have a watch. Because lo and behold, it's been uncovered. These tech bros that's running the White House, Peter Thiel and Musk and them, a couple more of them, one of them look Indian. All of them have ties to quality education in South Africa when they were young. All of them. So It's not a, and now we over here, now they over here messing with us, you know. And now we got to battle them because them South Africans who got so much to talk about didn't do the job, couldn't do the job, whatever it was. So they can't say nothing to me because they got trained over there with that whole white supremacy stuff over there in y'all's country. Y'all had a whole melanated continent and y'all didn't even call nobody and say, help us get them out of here. Y'all didn't do, y'all can't work together to save your soul. And you dumped your problem over here in America because it was ripe for the picking because these white boys done got broke. The regular schmegular white boys.
I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. No taxation. Tell us more about that.
What, they broke?
Yeah, yeah. So many people I trust and respect are saying that the white men are no longer financial.
No, they're not. They're even if you had a little nest egg, they playing with it now. Okay? That's just what this money is shifted around, and I'm telling you, some people are all the way out on that side of the aisle. And they see it. And that's why you expect trouble. That's why they acted the way they do.
Facts.
That's why they act. White men with money, when folks have money, they don't come in the street and act bad. That's just true to you. When people have money, they have things to do, people to see, and places to go. They're broke. And that's why they cause it mayhem. But the other thing about it is, y'all got to turn the tables on these people because there should never ever be a conversation about culture. What is our culture? You know, do we have culture? What is culture? I think that woman said. Let me see what she said to me. Let me look it up. Hold on, y'all. Let me get around here to what I said. She said, define culture. One of the ladies said in the village said the whole Zulu parade combo is interesting. The way folks are upset about the way it looks and who's participating. Blah blah. Is exactly how Black Americans feel every year. She just said what she said. No biggie. And the woman's reply, uh, I guess she's, out the country, defined culture and then laughed. She thought it was funny. I said, whatever you copy off Black Americans, that's culture. The way you wear your hair, the way you try to talk, the way you try to dress, the way you try to modify your body, because the women's over here is modifying their body, the way you try to sound like us. All of that is our culture. So anything they copy, and that's what we should be telling. Did you wear shoes today? See, because some of them ain't even got no shoes. Come on now. I don't know what kind of Africa y'all seen, but I ain't never seen no Africa where everybody have shoes and they walk on concrete. They just ain't showing them pictures over here. And so I don't know what all is going on. Y'all know I don't keep up with Africa. But I will tell you this, a South African right now can't say anything to me. I wish a South African would say something to me. You couldn't even take care of nothing in your own damn country. And now we got them over here. They running over here because they ran all over the top of y'all. So now they think they can do it over here. So they running over here with it. It's a problem. And now we got to beat these suckers down. Because they ain't going to do it. They can't do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't have the strength to do it. Shoot, we got all that and we don't care. Man, please. So, yeah, that's what I want to say. And the other thing about it, Bless Finesse said, and I'm going to leave it after this. He spoke about sports, and this is something I've been talking about really with certain people past 2 weeks. Baseball is gone, and they took the Negro Leagues and they melded it together, and they still came out with Josh Gibson being the best ball player that ever hit a baseball field in the United States of America and abroad. And so that's my Uncle Josh used to babysit me when I was a little girl. We kept telling y'all who he was. And so they stole that. And well, they didn't steal it, but they did it a certain kind of way. You know how they do. And did that. And now you look around and it ain't nobody black playing baseball. Not, I ain't seen none. Uh,
Not like it used to be.
no. And I'll tell you something else. If we ain't careful, let's get the basketball fit to be the same way.
I see.
Yeah, you see it, don't you? And his football is on his way too, because the boy from Ghana he's starting to wear his. He might be a basketball player. He wearing his uniforms, his Ghana uniforms, down to the job. So they loud and proud and stuff with it, and I don't even have a problem with that, long as it's one. Let me stop. See, that's what old white folks used to say.
Yeah, I was about to say you sound like old white folk.
Did you catch it? Did you
Yeah,
catch
I called it.
it? Yeah, that's old white folks used to talk like that. So I thought I'd throw that shit in too. All right then. Nice talking to you. I'm gonna get off the line.
Good seeing you. No
You
taxation.
Well,
too.
I know thanks no taxation. I know that a lot of baseball players wanted to play other sports because they were not getting the money they deserved. So a lot of these things we kind of just said, let's go play something else. It's not that they um, didn't want us. They couldn't afford us and they went and got some knockoffs. They got knockoffs. They got bootleg individuals to come up here and bore everybody to
You
death.
should.
Which,
The money these people get paid is astronomical. It's astronomical. It's ridiculous. And you're right, for a boring game. Like it's not even fun. Baseball's not fun anymore. You know? It's only fun when the black players are playing. It's just I don't know, it's just horrible. And my dad played in the Negro League, so baseball is something, we always grew up around. And I'll tell you something. I don't watch baseball. I watch it, during the pennant, but after that, nah, I can't do it. But basketball, I'm watching that, and even on the college level. Even on the college level. I think they have more on the college level than they have on the professional level for basketball. But we got to watch that. We got to start making demands on that because also some of those kids are our kids that do that and make that. And so you know what I mean? That has to protect us, just as we have to protect those HBCUs. One of the problems we need to protect those HBCUs, Professor, is because of this wacky academics that they have out here. You know,
Facts.
yeah, we have to get that cleaned up, and we can't get it cleaned up through people who are not us. We can't do it that way. It's not. That's not the design. That wasn't the design of the school. You know, so I'm gonna leave it there.
Appreciate it again. Go ahead, Super Mario. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, family? Respect to you, Professor and Sister Wani, Sister Nikki. Um, yeah, I ain't gonna be up here long, but man, I had to chime in, man, because I tell you, I've been kind of, truthfully, just um, trying not to dive in into this what they quote as a diaspora war. You know what I mean? Because I was raised Pan African. I still got love for my folks all over the world, and whatnot. But it's becoming evident, man, that we like Brother Teresa. We gotta circle the wagons, man. These people want to attack, man. Um, just a personal anecdote. I was at Trader Joe's the other day, man, and it seemed like all the people that's in charge is African, and they look at you like, what I'm saying, like they a CO at a jail, man. I'm talking about following you down aisles and shit. It's a problem, but this South Africa situation hit me personally. Because like I said, my family, you know what I'm saying, straight up Pan African. For the past few years, I've been trying to, get them to see the light, at least to not, you know what I'm saying, to be a little bit more about their own folk, you know, than everybody. You know what I'm saying? Seeing as though we going through what we going through on this end. So, um, my folks, my pops and uncle was at Howard during the what they call it, the situation down in South Africa, and shut down the A building. You know what I'm saying? When they was against the apartheid or what have you, and risking getting expelled from school during that time. You know what I'm saying? My mom, she just went to South Africa last year, got her purse stolen. Her you know what I'm saying? It's just it don't make sense to overlook this stuff no more. You know what I'm saying? My sister, she on a flight yesterday headed to Kenya for a couple of weeks. I had to show her video of how they was harassing, church members, you know what I'm saying, who was letting them know that Jesus was black. You feel me? Like, I don't, it's getting to the point where you can't ignore it no more, man. Like, it's it ain't just online. Like, this is real life where these people are waging war on us. So, anyway, I don't want to hold the mic there.
How is your how is no? I just want to know how is your family responding to you trying to warn them about what's happening? How are they responding to you?
It's one ear and out the other, you know. It's and I don't, even the information I send them, I don't even think they open it, and it's like it's like religion. You know what I mean? You believe in something so long, right? And then when you get told the truth about it, it's like the rug getting pulled under you from under your feet, and they don't know where to land. You know what I'm saying? So
So do they are they aware that they may be in danger? Are they do they have a sense of being in danger?
nah, not really. I mean, even my dad, like he just got sued by this Caribbean lady, off of some, some from work, and I'm telling him, bro, like you can't see the world is, everybody who ain't white is on your team because they not. You know what I'm saying? Like, they, I guess some people just, what I mean, they got experience it before they believe it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's hard to break from it, man. Like, sister, because we've been what I mean, we didn't show all the love to them, like to the point and it's almost, it's a self-esteem issue to a degree, because it's like we a lot of folks who participated in that Pan African movement in the 80s and 90s, or how you, their identity was Africa. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what we was allowed to believe. Um, so I don't know. It's disheartening, man, but what I'm saying, I'm gonna keep trying. You know, I spoke to brother Tariq about this a while ago. He was like, man, yeah, just let it go. I'm like, but that's family though, and they really, they taking L's every time they try to, what I'm saying, reach out to these folks. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
No, but I don't want people to get into fights, over Trump and over the immigrants, because you're right, it's really baked in there. And really, in one of my cousins, is baked in the same way. And it's like, no matter what they do, he's like, I'm doing business with a Kenyan right now. I said, what are you doing? Oh, they gave me some soap to sell in my store. How is that business? You do it's charity. It's like a one-sided deal, but he's gonna tell me he's doing some big international dealings.
right, right,
So,
yeah, it's we blinded by it.
brother, if I may, Super Mario, we've all been there, you know. So don't feel like you alone. I was you 5 6 years ago. I was just on everything black. I'm thinking we all black, you know. I didn't understand. And I noticed. But you got to keep planting them seeds because your family going to be 50-50. But the best thing I can tell you about this, brother, it's not about a diaspora war. It's about our longevity and preserving us and realizing we've been nice to everybody while they've been stabbing us in the back. So I want you to
Preach.
understand that when you address this, because you started by, I'm trying to stay away from diaspora wars, which a lot of folks think that's all this is. But this is rooted in us fighting back our erasure and replacement. Period. It's fighting back on Pan Africanism being one sided and not working both ways. So I need you to really get that. And one thing I can leave you with is when you plant that seed to a black American, no matter how rooted in their Pan Africanism is, they gonna notice. And they gonna come back to you. I don't know when. It might be 6 months, it might be 2 years, but they are gonna come back. I've been fought by hundreds of family and friends on this. And they always be like, BT, BT, bro, you was right. I was at work the other day and one of them damn Africans whoop de whoop whoop. I'm telling you, bro. Like my sister, she was fighting me on it, but she work in a salon and it's all Caribbeans in there. And she said they be forgetting I'm in there because I'm the only black American, and they was just started talking shit about us. And I was like,
Hmm.
he was right. She said I thought of you immediately because she was fighting me. They said I love they just, so you gotta just plant the seeds. You can't push it on them. And the old ones, you gotta just keep it moving. But even they realize and know what's up too. So don't think, but until they get caught like a deer in headlights, and they be like, "Damn, they was right." So don't worry, bro. Just keep doing what you're doing, and it's gonna push. I'm telling you, it's so many reparations can tell you they told their people about these African immigrants doing this, and immigrants, period, in general, all immigrants. Never forget that. Never forget that. These just the main ones because they are skin tone. But anyway, so just you gotta keep fighting and do that, brother. Plant that seed and keep doing it. Another thing with what you said, what you led with, the Nigerians in Texas are literally running the jail system, and I
Right.
posted a link on that up here. And it's very weird because it's just an abundance of them. And a lot of them got caught and locked up recently for doing some corruption out there, but I won't get on that. But it's weird. They found a niche in Texas correctional systems and they're mistreating black Americans. The link I posted is just an article, but it's actually a YouTube video I'm going to find and post as well. So just be on the lookout because that's what they do. One of them gets in position somewhere and they just message the entire damn tribe. So we got to look out
Yeah.
for that. Africans and Caribbeans alike. Thanks, brother.
Indeed. Yeah, but I mean, even me, man, like you were saying, like I said, I ran into one of these West African cats at the grocery store, and he following me up and down the aisle, like like it was a movie, like you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Oh, and I'm
Do they have an ice machine in the
that's what
grocery
I'm
store?
saying. I was about to hit up Ice right then and there, but then I think Ice it say you gotta like fill out some paperwork, so I'm gonna go back up there see how he acted. I'm gonna get his name. You feel me? But even like to a point, I'm hesitant because I'm like, damn, I gotta go through all this just to get this fool up out of the mix. But we gotta do what we gotta do, man. It's real out here. So
You better because he's sending his kids to our HBCUs and they're bringing that
right,
same bull up there. So we got to really nip this in the bud before it gets. We're late as hell, but let's fight.
right,
Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you, brother.
yes, sir.
Professor, may I say something to the brother?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's
Don't
that?
feel bad. And what's your name again? What's his name again?
My name's Shamari. S-
Shamari. All right, what's up, Shamari? I
Peace.
got a brother. I got family members, right? My oldest sister, she raised me practically, but she's a Democrat to the day she ain't on this earth. And no matter what I point out to her, no matter what I share with her, I show her proof. And she just like literally like, get out of here, get away from me. So you're not the only one. No matter what you do, you're not the only one. I'm just giving that example when you was mentioning about the Pan African, how your peoples are so deep in it, like they don't want to listen. But I have family members who are they do not they call me basically a Trump lover. I don't
Right.
know why. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I guess my views don't fit their perception. I mean, they don't fit their perception of how they view the Democrats. You follow me? I told my sister one time, I says, listen, it's okay for the Democrats to push this agenda about cutting up little babies, little teenager boys, and I mean little girls and boys in the operating table. And it's okay for them these trannies to have uh, dance parties among little kids, and they
Mm,
got books out telling little kids how to ejaculate, how to play with themselves and everything. This is 6 or 7 year old kids. I explained that to my sister. You know what she said? Trump this, Trump that.
mm.
So what that tell you? It's all about Trump. No matter what I say, Trump is coming out of her mouth, and I land my plane.
Right. Yeah, I just got into it with my uncle, man. This big time lawyer. You know, he a super Democrat, but he like to argue about stuff all the time. So you know, when I bring him, because what I'm telling him ain't my opinion. You know what I mean? Like this is a
Actual
think
He's
tank
facts.
every
documented
night.
proof.
You know what I mean? It's a
We can show him the proof if he want to play.
right. It's a think tank. This ain't just my opinion. This is the consensus. You feel me? So when I bring this information to him, you know, it's a matter. Well, it ain't what you say. It's who are you to say it type of attitude. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, like he brought up he was defending Roland Martin to me the other day, man, and I just had to laugh like you out of the loop, man. You know,
Like, are you kidding me, right? Like Roland Martin. Are you kidding me,
of
right?
all people, you know.
Y'all got to leave y'all families behind if they not with it. That's what I'm telling you. You
But
cannot.
but he a
Y'all want to
lawyer. I
see.
need him to be with it. You feel me?
Well,
Like
he's
he
gonna
can
see the
help.
light. He's gonna. I'm
You know what
telling
I'm saying?
you, plant the seed and keep getting them. Send him the stuff, but he gonna have to see in his face, and then he gonna be like, "Damn, nephew was right."
Yeah, the older generation, the baby boomers, they're stuck in their ways. They've been brainwashed and conditioned to believe that the Democratic Party is a party for the black man, for the poor man. When history, and let me say something clearly, I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. I'm not into political parties, but history shows me that the Democratic Party is a party of immigrants.
Hmm.
And just using deductive logic, immigrants have a long-standing history of being diametrically opposed to foundational black Americans. Therefore, keeping that in consideration, the Democratic Party, from my scholastic view, has never been a party for the black man and woman. It's been against us vis-a-vis immigrants. We're gonna go to Lance and then Lamanul. But go ahead, Lance.
Oh, shout out to everybody. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, yo,
Blessed.
I want to go back to the culture part. Now, the culture on some real, and I might say a little curse here and there, but our culture was stolen. If you look from back in the
Hold on,
days,
hold
if
on,
you
Lance.
look, if,
Lance,
can
I'm
you
a
hear
little
me?
confused. Yeah, I hear you. The topic is, are any African countries named by Africans?
Oh no, but I heard y'all talking about culture too.
Oh, I missed that. Go ahead and make your point quickly.
Oh, all right. So I'm lost then. I just thought I heard something about the baseball and everything, the culture and the music. I heard some of that going on too. It just went off to a new topic. But
Yeah,
I
you
was
could go
waiting.
ahead and finish.
I was
He's
waiting.
No,
telling
you good,
you
bro.
that you
Go
can.
ahead. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was
Is that
waiting.
a
Go ahead.
Caribbean lisp?
What?
Is that a Caribbean lisp?
No, your shit sound like one. What the fuck you talking about, man?
Nah,
Go
he
ahead.
might
Hey,
be one of us
Professor
talking
Lonnie,
like that.
Listen,
Nikki. Hey, can I
anyway,
add something?
Go ahead and
anyway,
land your
don't
plan,
don't
Lance.
don't get me twisted, bro. Don't even play that game with me. All right. So once again, what I want to say is now the culture, right? I think it was stolen from us due to the fact that if you look from back in the days, what do you see the camera people all in the hoods? Who you see? A bunch of European people, right? From England, France, all that's Paris. They was stealing our culture and bringing it back. That's why you got like people like Run DMC and all that getting the Adidas deals and all that because they was bringing the culture. They was coming into America because they was so caught up in loving our culture that they was coming and like recording us our every moves and then bringing it and spreading it out through the world. Now, I just came from the city. I just went to visit my brother in the city today. Don't you know that I seen, and I don't want to disrespect no melanated people or whatever, but the culture, they trying to sabotage our shit. Like it's so crazy looking out there right now that you go through the Bronx, you go through Harlem and all that. It look crazy right now. It look crazy. These people was like
Well,
looking
Lance,
dirty.
Lance, I appreciate you. We're gonna go ahead. Lama Newell, what's on your mind, Lama Newell?
Hey, Professor. Hey, Wani. Hey, Nikki. Yeah, I just want to add the tethering and they vitriolic ways are real because let me tell you something. My mother just had hip surgery and she had to get surgery at the hospital, and they tried to implement some a Nigerian tether or Kenyan tether, whatever the hell, to do the surgery. And me and my sister requested the Asian surgeon to do the surgery. And then once she got that surgery done and she was successful, she had to go to like a rehab center or whatever. And they had a bunch of tethers in the rehab center, um, treating all the Black American patients, kind of funny style. And me and my sister had to rotate to go up there to make sure mom's was okay. And the tethering is real. We got, we came back. My mom had her sheets all off the bed, man, one leg off the bed, and all kind of stuff. My sister went clean off on them tethers in there. We got moms out of there, man, and finally got her to the house and had the nursing come to the house and the rehab all come to the house and finish her rehab. But yeah, the tethering is real, man. You go to the gas station, you buy your gas or whatever, they smiling in your face and then they whispering behind your back. You know what I'm saying? You got these jobs with these folks. These folks is big undermining us. My sister was getting her hair done by one of these folks, and she had to tell them, "Look, man, can y'all stop speaking in whatever language y'all speaking in?" You know what I'm saying? Because they doing her hair, and then they laughing at the same time. And then one of them that knew my sister, that was kind of like on code, was a rider, and she was telling, "Oh yeah, man, she was just disrespecting you and saying all kind of derogatory words about you." And my sister was kind of on blue, whatever you do. And now she's totally off that train. She don't give a damn about no Democrats, and she don't trust these tethers or nothing like that. So the tethering and they vitriolic ways are real out here, because I'm out here in the world and I'm going places, I'm going to work and I'm going to different places and running into these people. And don't let these people undermine your family members that need medical attention at these medical facilities, because they will do that, and will have your people end up dying. So I just wanted to add that to the family. I'll drop down.
Okay, appreciate you. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
yeah, go ahead. We're gonna go with somebody just added all viral access media. Are any African countries named by Africans all viral?
From what I understand, that a lot of those countries were named by the British and like Nigeria and other countries. But can I just piggyback off what the with this guy, the last guy just was saying? I just want to say something about the tethers, right? I don't know why I'm nervous and shit like that. So y'all gotta forgive me, all right? Please give me 1 second. I apologize. But what I feel about these tethers, they would definitely work against us. Like, you know how they sell it, you know how they sold us, and they selling their own people right now in Africa. Literally children in bags. Like, they got children's inside of bags on display. Like, literally right now, today. You know, and how can we trust a people like that? And they come here, smile in our face, and put their nose in the air and look. You know what I mean? Like they just really just look down on us. I say all that to say because I don't know why I'm nervous and I got my own damn platform, but I really have a problem with these tethers because I'm telling you, they are here to replace us. They think they're a better version of black people.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I land my plane by saying this: they will literally work with the dominant society to literally put us in shackles if it ever was to be. They gonna always work against us. Put it that way. And I'm gonna land and I'll come back up in a little bit. But I really enjoy your space. I really enjoy
Can
it.
I
So
ask what is it that they think is better? Because I'm confused. How is coming from a rinky-dink island with nothing going
mhm.
on making you better? How is coming from a dilapidated continent where it's nothing but corruption and filth, and you're being called a third world country and everything else, how are you superior? Like, what? It has to be gaslighting because there's nothing superior about them. They don't have superior anything.
Well, they do have jollof rice, Monty. You got to give that some credit.
You mean that French dish that they claim they made
Well,
that historically they didn't?
Wani, that's actually a good question, and I think I know the answer to that. The European plays divide and conquer with them, and the European tells them and bigs up their head that you're better than Black Americans. Your Black Americans are lazy. Black Americans are have low IQ. All this shit is meaningless. And they get their heads beefed up by Europeans, so they come over here thinking that when it's further from the truth. There's a good point that you bring up that a lot of these countries that they come from are third world countries, whereas I think our brother Tariq Nasheed has made a point. I'm paraphrasing, but that the hold on one second. Somebody has an echo going. Uh, yeah, our brother Tariq Nasheed brought up that the worst ghetto in the world has nothing. A shanty town is not even equatable to the worst ghetto in the world. I lived in Memphis, Tennessee, the last 13 years of my life, and a lot of people say Memphis is kind of like poor. It is low SES, socioeconomic status. And I spent some time. I forgot which time I went, but I spent a lot of time in the jungles of West Africa in a shanty town. It was called Hohoy, spelled ho ho, but the E say Hohoy. And I mean, we had to like wait to use the bathroom for hours, and the bathroom was literally a hole somebody dug in the ground. No toilet paper. It was a hot mess. We took wipes with us, but I remember landing back at Memphis International, and I used to complain about Memphis for the first 5 years I was there. Like, man, this place ghetto, man, you know. But when I landed at Memphis and got my Uber back to my place, I was looking at the projects and was like, man, the projects are like luxury. Some of the worst projects in the country in Memphis, in South Memphis, are like luxury compared to where I have been staying in West Africa. So that's a good question, good point, Wani. How do people come from these countries um, with cannibalism running rampant? Um, Poor quality water that has fucking protozoa in it that will fuck your stomach up for 3 months. Don't ask me how I know. And land over here amongst us and judge us. My only logic is European brainwash. But if somebody knows somebody else, please tell me because I want to know.
I think us identifying with them builds they you know what I mean they status that alone in itself.
A lot of
That's
people.
right. That's why we got to stop doing it.
Yep,
That's why we won't be doing it anymore.
yep. That's a good.
That's why they're mad as hell over that. That's their whole, it's like pulling a rug out from up under somebody. You can claim our music, claim our sports heroes, but we can't claim yours. You can claim all of the inventions, all the legendary performances, all the entertainers. You can claim all of that, and we can't claim anything from you. All we can do is do what we've been doing, which is do all this research to big up these uh, African empires that nobody was talking about. The white boy wasn't researching that. He didn't care about Mansa Musa. He didn't care about any of that. We dug that up. We dug that up. We bigged that up. And they use that against us. Everything that we've done for them, like uh, all the work we did for South Africa, we made Nelson Mandela a thing, not them. They literally have the Mandela effect. And the Mandela effect was telling them that Mandela was dead. They thought he was dead. And they remember a funeral of his. We're over here wearing Mandela t shirts, free Mandela. We marched in the streets. We put pressure on all of our politicians. They sanctioned, we boycotted, okay? And then they petitioned against apartheid. We took that thing down. We sent it tumbling down with all kinds of pressure from all sides. In the meantime, they just let the guy sit in jail talking about he was dead. Half of them thought he was dead, the other ones couldn't figure out how to get him out. I could have swam over there. You are the majority, an astronomical amount of people times a handful, but it only takes a few with them. It doesn't take that many to manipulate them into just being paralyzed mentally. I'm really going to have to start just researching whether this is just pure cargo cult syndrome, where you see someone with more technology and you think they're magical. That's the only explanation for this response. Someone has more technology than you, and there are people right now practicing cargo cult um, behavior. They saw a military plane land on their island. They didn't have a plane. They didn't have any kind of technology, so they said those guys were God, and they built a straw plane and said that they were all gods. And these military men were like, no, 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 we're not God. Our plane, we came from a developed area, and our plane needed to land and regroup, but they didn't believe it. And I think that that's what a lot of these untouched groups are doing.
Preach.
That's what I think they're doing. I think that they see someone with more technology, and in their mind, those people are God, and it can't get out. It cannot leave their mind. And that's it. We don't have that problem. But that is a problem that others have.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm glad whoever said that because I never thought of it that way. That the reason why they're so bold is because we've been running to identify with them. That kind of flares their head up a bit. And the reasons why we identify with them is historically we've had these professors and these scholars like W.E. Du Bois, traitor ass, jumping into Pan Africanism. Another professor I see big up in Africa for some reason is Dr. Greg Carr at Howard. Beware, ladies and gentlemen. Beware. I was looking at Dr. Carr's resume. He's from Nashville. What is he doing? What he up here doing bigging up Africa for? I don't understand that. So we got
Being a pain goofy.
we got to be careful with that. There has to be some type of benefit. That's what I'm trying to understand. What are you getting out of
Those
this?
people get paid. They get paid to do that.
Yeah, that's what
They're
we're doing.
controlled opposition. They keep putting forth all these race-based reparation schemes that they know are going to fail. That's why they keep doing it. They keep putting themselves on every board. Oh, it's got to be race-based. We got to end racism. No, you don't have anything to do with being freed from slavery in America. See? And they know that's going to fail. That's why they keep pushing it. The minute they push that, they're trying to be controlled opposition. That's why they had that bill on the floor for my whole life, and I never even heard of it because it's not getting any energy because that's how they want it. They don't want any energy, but we have a lot of energy, and they don't like that because they can't they can't put their hands on it. They don't know what to do with it. They're trying to grip it up. They've been, very nasty toward us, hostile toward us, kicking prospective voters in the face, saying all kinds of things, and now they look like they don't know what to do with us. And that's good because they don't need to do anything with us. I don't need to do anything with them ever. What they've done to children, the pictures of people's breasts being hacked off because they think they're a tomboy. No, no, you've institutionalized child abuse. That's not just child abuse. That's institutionalized. They're going back to the Greco-Roman days. They're going back to
Right.
castrati. They're going back to
Caligula.
they're going all the way back. They're going all the way to hell. They want men and women's sports, women's bathrooms. They want to hack little girls' breasts off. They want to give children all kinds of sex change drugs that are harmful to their health in general. They want to teach your kid about masturbation. What do people learn in the class? We already have teachers getting in trouble for having sex with children in the class every day. And now you're going to train children about sex? Are you trying to train people to be sex partners for the teachers? Why is everybody talking about sex? What
Right.
happened to math?
What happened to that's none of your business? That's between you and your parents.
What? When do they have time to do all this?
It seems like
Where's
when the
the reading,
Democrats,
writing, and what happened to the
Yep.
reading, writing, and arithmetic? Why is this? Why are we talking about genitals all day long and who went in what bathroom and who should be in which pool? Why can't we figure that out? Everybody else on the planet knows the difference between men and women, but not the Democrats. So they're done. And they're not going to stop. They just keep putting one imbecile up in front of the camera after another, saying the same dumb shit that no one wants to hear. We don't want immigrants. The country voted against it. Look at the polls. 70 some percent of people want them gone. And the other percent are the illegals that keep voting in the poll. No one wants them here.
And I hope they ads go back. And can I say something, please?
Yeah.
Like the shade room and on site, and I don't even know if neighborhood talk if they are ran by tethers, but I was thinking this the other day. I think everybody
neighborhood talk is
that's
run by is owned by a gay black man. I'm not sure if he's FBA, but it's a gay black
okay.
man.
All right, cool. But the ones that we do know that's ran by them, those tellers, I think we all should literally flag their page, shut that shit down. We need to shut them down for real. Like I was literally thinking that the other day that we have to, because they have influence on controlling what be displayed. You know what I'm saying? They never really post stuff about their own people in a bad light, knowing damn well they be massacring, having mass murders over there, killing a lot of people on their own land and things of that nature. So they only just highlight the bad shit about our people. So I think we all should just get all of their pages reported, flagged, and taken down. I think it should start from somewhere as well too. So attack their goddamn pages, report it, and tell them to kiss your ass. And I shut up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get a couple more speakers. We're gonna call it a night. We're gonna talk to. Let's see who I just let up. We're gonna let Independent go. Go ahead, Independent, and then Carrie.
Hello, everyone. Hello, all of the hosts and also the co-hosts. Yeah, to answer your question, yes, basically they'd be lying. As someone else spoke about, yeah, there are countries that were named in the African continent, literally from England. So yeah, that's just a fact. I wanted to quickly speak, if it's okay. Someone had brought up baseball, and it's an irritation on my side that we don't have black men in baseball anymore, and it was actually done. This was actually done strategically, starting in about the 1980s, to get black men out of baseball and put them into concentrated on football and basketball. Now, one thing about baseball is that you have a longer career. When you have a longer career, you are making money for a longer aspect, right? You're getting that money, you can invest that money. You also have less injuries in baseball than you do the other two sports. And when you look at basketball, you have 12 players on the team. You're obviously in football, you have 54, but most of them don't even play. They just sit on the sidelines. In comparison to baseball, everyone that gets inside of the major leagues, they play, right? And they're making bank. So I just wanted to put that out there. We actually need to encourage our young black men to go back into baseball. We need to stop allowing what has happened over now what about 30, 40 years, in order to push us out of sports, allow for these people coming in from the Caribbean and everywhere else to take over a sport that honestly we invented, right? That's why the Negro Leagues was there. We invented the sport of baseball. We need to take our sport back. and allow for our young black men to be proud in order to go inside of that sport. I just had to say that because I heard somebody talk about baseball, and it's an irritation on my side when I hear that is not our sport. We invented that sport, so I just had to say that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. We got Rickwood Field where 42 was filmed. We got all kind of history surrounding baseball. The Negro leagues were so powerful that white people would stop watching Major League to sneak to go see Negro League. They weren't there.
Hmm.
They didn't even care what the white boys was doing. But anyway, that's a whole nother space. Uh,
Thanks.
Go ahead, Carrie. What's on your mind, Carrie? Good to see you.
Hey, hey, thanks for having me up. I was thinking, and people always rag on us about white supremacy. Oh, that call it this, call it that, or you're being dramatic, or whatever. And I just, I was thinking, okay, but I keep reading this term, white supremacy, and I've been reading a lot of educational papers and not term papers, but journals, um and I realized that all of them say white supremacy in them about a jillion times, and these are in mainly the Hispanic centered educational papers, and all they do, if it's, I'm reading something about the promise of anti-racist assessment. I'm like, okay, what's assessment? So I'm reading, and they're talking about the essay portion in tests. Okay, well, that's white supremacy, and they said white supremacy in the paper 87 times. So I don't think anybody should be telling us anything about say, saying that something is white supremacy, because that's all they talk about, and it's kind of interesting to me. Why would they do that? And I'm asking you, Wani and Professor, if they have a culture of whitening the race. So what's their obsession with calling stuff white supremacy when they don't have a problem with that?
Well, I would say that it's just important. They have a double standard that's just as clear as fucking Evian. You know what I'm saying? Uh, their double standard is they can talk about it, but you can't. If you think back to Noam Chomsky's book, the Manufacturing Consent, Noam talked about the two categories of people in America: the worthy victims and the not worthy victims. So the worthy are the white victims can say something and it can be innocent. They can talk about white supremacy in an innocent fashion. But when we say the same exact thing, we're not, in their view of their media, we're not worthy. So we're being racist or making some type of, you know, dramatic hyperbole. So it's just media manipulation, which makes Twitter so important, because Twitter is allowing foundational Black Americans to have our point of view out, and other people are taking notice of our point of view. But the media has been whitewashing our points of views for the last hell forever.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And also, I thought I heard somebody talking about the healthcare earlier. I'm not sure who it was. But just if if you think that it's exaggerating if we're saying a story or something about the kind of things that happen to us in the hospitals via these people, just think the way they talk about us online and calling us half breed, all these derogatory names and stuff, and a lot of these people have credentials after their name and stuff. So, people that tell you that you didn't make anything, you didn't do anything, these are the people that are, credentialed. It's scary. Thanks.
Well, what's really scary, and no taxation, and Wani kind of brought this up over an hour ago, is the fact. And let me say, I don't have any pride in this because I have to live in this country, and I love my country, and I'm raising a family in this country. Um, what's happening is our money is collapsing, and that was accelerated by the brilliance of Joe Biden. Not Joe Biden, when when Russia invaded Ukraine, which was none of our goddamn business, by the way. Um, Joe Biden had the brilliant idea not to cancel Russia's monies. You see, Russia had billions of dollars in accounts from their questionable organizations. I remember when I worked at the Smithsonian in D.C., I had a run-in with with a Russian mob member at a club, and any of y'all know DC. It was a club called 24 on K Street. I went there with this lady, and he was trying to talk to my lady, and I cussed him out, and like it wasn't good. Let me put it that way. But I've learned way back then that the Russian mob kind of ran a lot of clubs in DC. That's kind of beside the point. The point is, Russia had billions of fucking US dollars. We're talking in 2021, ladies and gentlemen. And when they invaded Ukraine, the Biden administration said, get away from Ukraine, leave them alone. Putin said, fuck off, mind your business. And Biden said, oh, okay, you going to tell me to fuck off? Well, I'm just going to cancel your money. So the Biden administration canceled billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars that were sitting in Russian accounts. And let me tell you why that was a dumbass mistake. It was a mistake because China, Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and a handful of other countries were watching that happen. And they said if Joe Biden can cancel Russia's American money that they earned, what's stopping them from canceling our money? And at that point in time, a union was created. You can look it up. It's called BRICS, BRICS. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia. There are many more countries. What they have done, ladies and gentlemen, they've created another currency that, unlike the United States, the dollar, which is not backed by anything, um, it used to be backed by oil. Let me tell you some more brilliance of the fucking Biden administration. The dollar was taken off the gold standard in 1971 by Richard Nixon. Why was that? Was during the Vietnam War, we were spending so much money on in the Air Force bombing the jungles that the French peeped us out and said, y'all don't have that much gold, and basically called our bluff. Long story short, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard so we didn't have to give everybody their gold back, and he kind of put the dollar on the petro standard, like the oil, oil. Another brilliant thing, not that Biden did, was he while canceling Russian money, he highly endorsed electronic cars, which lowered the value of our dollar again because the dollar was based off of the petro or oil standard. I mean, what that president? Anyway, um, so now that we have BRICS currency that's alive and well, it's only a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen, before the countries that we deal with to get all of our cheap products, our clothes, our iPhones, nothing's made in America anymore. Nothing is made in America anymore. We get all of our stuff from outsourced from other countries because they believe in the power of the dollar. But my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is what's going to happen to the power of the dollar when BRICS goes fully live and other countries realize it's backed by gold, therefore more stable? The power of our dollar, which is not based by anything, is going to inflate and become less valuable. Groceries are going to go up. And what's going to happen with that is my question is this whole racial dynamic in America has been floating on the basis of European men being able to say, I have money. How are they going to react when the money is almost worthless? We're looking at a possible social conflict. Y'all want to know more about that? Read The Next Civil War by Steve Marche. He talks about that. But we're in a very interesting time, ladies and gentlemen, that we have to be really careful about. We need leadership. We need foundational Black Americans in office to protect our interests. We need to be a protected class, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, because we are an exceptional people with an exceptional history. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I got everybody. Warquez, did you have anything to add? I think I'm saying your name right. Warks. Okay, he couldn't hear me. We'll have one more.
What's the name?
Oh, what'd you say, love?
Oh, Warquez.
Yeah, I think it's Warquez.
That's hard to say. How are we saying it so well?
It's either Warquez or Warks.
I think it's Warquez.
Okay.
He's got to tell us though. Now we're curious.
All right, Warquez. Well,
Walquez, are you there, Walquez? Walquez, you there?
She's saying it with an accent.
Walquez.
she's saying like back in the day, Warquez, what up,
I'm
man?
being yeah, yeah, no, that's how we did back then.
Back in the day.
Oh, he didn't get a chance to speak. Come visit us tomorrow and we'll let you speak first,
All right.
Walquez.
We do have one more person, Catherine. Go ahead and take us home, Catherine. What's on your mind? Catherine Larsha.
Oh, this is Catherine. Catherine, come up here and speak. I know her. I don't know what's wrong with the thing, but I really want to hear her speak. I don't know what's going on, but I really like
A
her. She's
lot of
cool.
people are not. A lot of people are not able to talk
Wow.
because I
I'll let her
remember
know that she can talk first tomorrow. She's really cool.
Yeah, I would love to hear what she got to say. Give her one more.
because Mikhail got thrown down.
I didn't even see Mikhail come up.
I didn't see Mikhail either. He should always be able to speak. Oh, okay. Well, I'll message Catherine and let her know that she can come speak tomorrow.
Okay.
She's
All right.
really nice.
Yeah, I would love to hear. Warquez, you back up? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've enjoyed y'all. If you want more scholarship that I was talking about earlier, I still have several books available for sale on Our Story Publications. Put $25 on Our Story Publications, your full address and zip, and I'll mail it to you this weekend. Also, look for Nikki the God and Wani Spots Cash App. Show them love for their scholarship and dedication. I learned a lot. Are African countries named by Africans? Unfortunately, for the most part, no, they are not. They are named by the people they say they despise, the Europeans. Furthermore, what we learned today is many African countries are not old at all. They're young. They're younger than a lot of our parents. I'm a millennial, and they're younger than my parents, right? Now, what's the issue? The issue is given the fact your country is young, your country's unstable, and your country doesn't even have its own name. It's named by a white European. Do you have the authority to tell me about my goddamn history? Short answer, no. Logic. The conclusion is because as foundational Black Americans, we know more about our history than most Africans. We've been here. Some of us can trace our history back to the 1500s, but most of us, like myself, can trace our history back to the late 1800s. We know a lot about who we are. And given that fact, we know our racial dynamic. We know that we are not just African. We are an amalgamation of African, indigenous, and Caucasian. That is who we are. We are foundational Black Americans. If A plus B plus C equals ABC, then we are FBA. We are our own thing, and we have named ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, do not let anybody from the diaspora tell you who you are. Matter of fact, my advice to you is to go buy Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Society and go buy Dr. Claude Anderson's Black Labor White Wealth. And when they start telling you about them, flip to the right pages and tell them about them. Tell them that they do not have a stable history. And furthermore, history says they're not our friends. They sold us into slavery, which will be a whole nother space, a whole nother time. Last but not least, does AI be lying? Yeah, it do. AI, ladies and gentlemen, has an agenda. When I had the honor of working in the total force community for a little while, I helped teach kids how to program computers. And what I learned, because I can create AI from the ground up, is that when you're creating AI, you upload a library of terms. You can put your on whatever library you want in there. You dictate the responses. So you see, AI looks like intelligence, but it's not intelligent at all. It's just algebra two. Algebra two, if then statements. If the sky is blue, then the ground is brown. It's up to you to decide on those terms, ladies and gentlemen. I could say if the sky's red, then the ground is yellow. It doesn't matter. I'm in control of that. And given that fact, when we ask Chat GPT for Chat GPT or Grok or whatever for our opinion, Sometimes that library has fixed terms, and given the fact a lot of these libraries were written by Europeans, these databases, these AI databases, have a European frame of mind. What's the solution? The solution is to get more of our kids into STEM, get these kids into computer programming. Our kids need to program their own AI databases. I used to do it. I did it in Memphis, Tennessee, until a couple of Caucasian teachers found out what I was doing and talked to some of their powerful friends in Nashville and had my job canceled. That's how deep this is. They do not want us in computer programming. Given that fact, that's exactly where our FBA children need to be, in computer camp. I'm working with politicians to try to start one, so y'all keep your fingers crossed for me. With that being said, I enjoyed y'all. I love y'all, and I look forward to looking for you. Well, I would say tomorrow, but it's today. Happy Friday. Wani, do you have any closing remarks?
I just wanted to say, besides knowing where we come from because of having extensive genealogy records and being the subject of a lot of research in this country that tells us what our backgrounds are, besides really knowing our roots more than most people because we have such an interesting um, ethnogenesis and an interesting background, it's a subject that people like to talk about, and other groups are not so much because they kind of know what they're about, and it's not that type of mixture. Not only do we know that, but we're the main people that have dug up 90% of information on Africans. We're the Afrocentrics. We're the ones who went and dug up all of these cultures and tried to prove what type of architecture they had and try to prove that they were not just a dilapidated dump, that we were presented with that information. We're the ones who pushed back on white people that portrayed them and gave narratives about them. We big them up. You know what I'm saying? And so they can't say anything about that topic. They have no history in doing that type of research on their own backgrounds. We did it for them, along with our own, which we should be interested in this topic. Some very dramatic moves happened in history, and we're in the center of it. So, of course, we're interested in what happened with the transatlantic slave trade, who was here on this continent, who we got mixed in with. Of course, we're interested. Why wouldn't we be? It's natural curiosity. But we were also interested in their part of the world because we felt like we have some lineage from there and we should see what that's about. And so they benefited from that. And that's all I want to say. Talk about roots. We know about them. We researched them, and we're the only ones to do so. They have the self esteem that they have because of us. Everybody on this planet, even people you don't know about, people in the Andaman Islands, people in Bangladesh, people in Sri Lanka, people in Australia, people with dark skin are better off because we live. They're better off because of us. We gave them self esteem they would never have in their own cultures. So we have a lot to be proud of, and we're the only ones talking about this. See, we did all the research on everybody's roots, so we should be the last people on earth that someone says you don't know who you are. We told them who they were.
Yeah, that's part of that psychosis when you help somebody and they achieve power, they kind of resent you. We're dealing with, I forgot what that's called, but we're dealing with that big time. Yeah, I'm glad that it was exposed in this space that they act the way they do because we've walked around claiming them. We made ourselves too comfortable with these people that, I'm sorry to say this, but from a scholarly point of view, we don't have anything in common with. Foundational Black Americans do not have a history of selling our goddamn daughters to strangers for personal usage. That alone makes a discrepancy between cultures. But other than that, we don't have a culture of tolerating scams. We don't have that. In my hood, if they caught you scamming, you got handled a certain type of way. You understand what I'm saying? And my daddy and them used to say, "Your word is your bond. That's all you got as a man." That's our culture. Our culture is standing on business and protecting children, not selling them for personal usage. Um, Nikki, do you have any final comments?
Everything you guys said. I love being FBA. I love my culture. Everything about all of us. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, we're gonna pick this back up tomorrow. I'll see y'all, or well, later on today. Yes,
Professor,
sir.
we got to start that AI conversation. Me, you and Wani say y'all was gonna pick up because it was deep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we're
You
going to
mean that?
add it on the end of another topic because we might have some AI horror stories we can
Yes,
talk about because yeah, what you were saying, I experienced it myself.
yes. You so you know what I'm talking about, right, Wani?
Yes, I do.
Outstanding. Good night, everyone, and thank you as always.
All right.
Good night, Housing.
All right. Appreciate y'all. And I'll see y'all later on today or tonight. Peace out.